Oh, welcome everyone. Now that we've all got you here, we're going to have a Chrono Lynx at Fort Dragonia race between PH112358 and Izala. For commentary, we got Corporate Image and Doc Cobran. This is the introduction category to Chrono Cross. It's about a little over two hours, 10 minutes or so. Exclamation point links 2 if you want more information of the run. And without further ado, we'll get the match started. Thank you, Golden Sun. That was an amazing race to watch. And on that note, we'll do the countdown. We'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck, runners.
And they're off.
Coming up the first gate, we have PH. PH comes out with Mel. Izala has Nikki.
Yeah, so in the opening sequence of the game, there's a bit of superstition involved in what the characters we get. Based on who the characters we get, we might get certain types of RNG. Fortunately, it's all just superstition, but there is something to note is that Mel on PH's side has a shorter name than Nikki. And this game renders text 2 letters at a time. So since Mel is only 3 letters long, it actually does save a few frames on text. But for now, they're just going to try to dodge the Cybot and bats that come their way and make their way through the dream sequence.
Round in the corner and up the stairs. Nothing to dodge here, but there will be something there later when we get back here.
That is true. Yeah, this dream sequence is like a foreshadowing of what's to come later on in the game, because we are in fact at Fort Dragonia, but we don't know that. And from a casual standpoint, this is just a dream.
Turning off the black pillar almost simultaneously, rushing right back out the door.
Yeah, the dream sequence is pretty straightforward. For PB attempts, we tend to reset if we happen to get an encounter or just some really bad movement. But for a race, we just gotta go, take what we get. Looks like they reached the warp pad at a comparable times, so good start to both runners. Yeah, these warp pads remind me of Chrono Trigger. When you go to the Kingdom of Zeal, they have similar type pads, but for this one, to activate them, you have to hit the X button, whereas in Chrono Trigger, you just walk onto it, and it just takes you automatically where you need to go.
Here's some text. The door. We get our premonition.
Yeah, we're about to see an FMV of, as Doc said, a premonition of what's to come. And we actually see this cutscene quite a few times throughout the run, both this category and in any percent. But don't worry, everybody. That knife you see there, that's just ketchup. It's fine. Everything's gonna be fine.
They're just smiling, so the ketchup must be delicious.
Shaking. That's right, mutated wisdom. So, in an homage to Chrono Trigger, we are awakened by our mother, but instead of her walking into the room, she's just calling from afar. And we arrive in Arnie Village. Get some really nice opening theme music. Music of Chrono Cross is really, really good. Definitely one of my favorite soundtracks for an RPG.
And we can now stretch with Serge. Oh, Serge has a great stretch.
Always good to stretch. Very healthy for you.
Pull up the shades and let the sunshine in on this tropical paradise.
Yeah, so from right out the gate, or out the house door, we go straight to the docks to go see our girlfriend Lena. We were supposed to meet her earlier for a bit of fun at the Lizard Rock area, but we were late because Serge is a bit of a lazy guy. So Lena is stuck with babysitting these kids. And so she's going to send us a task, our first quest, to go pick up some Komodo scales because she wants a necklace from them. Story-wise, the Komodo scales kind of are a symbol of like proposal. So it's kind of hinting that, hey, she really likes Serge. Maybe she wants to marry him. But we don't really know. We're not much the wiser, so Serge is going to just say, okay, fine, and make his way to the Lizard Rock section.
Before we leave, we want to stop by this shop here to buy a couple of elements for us to use. Elements are the form of magic in this game. So show me your elements means you get to buy your magic. A fireball. Then we do a first menu where we put the fireball in place.
Yeah, one thing they'll do is go into the configs section and change the run function. Because normally when you start the game, you have to hold the circle button in order to run. But we changed that option so that we hold circle to walk instead. Very convenient because walking is very slow in this game. But it does help out in certain sections. We'll discuss that a little bit later.
Now,
So here at Lizard Rock... Oh, go ahead, Doc.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, the problem with just getting these Komodo scales is that the Komodos don't just give them to you. You actually have to fight and kill them. So we're going to be doing 3 battles here where Serge is hunting and killing Komodos, and there's a little trick to each one. Oh, man,
so on PH's screen, we got the double Komodo pup fight, which is the fastest type of encounter to get. Izala has one of the more unfortunate encounter types. 2 of the blue sand squirts and 1 Komodo pup. This is not an ideal fight because we're looking for some specific drops in this section. If we get them, we can, as runners, save time. If we don't get them, we have to go for backups too, because we need these materials for weapons that we're going to forge, and we'll talk about that later. But these Komodo pups drop a feather, and it's a 10% chance per Komodo pup. And so the encounter Izala got with 2 of the sand squirts only has 1 of those in them. But Izala was able to get
at least one sand squirt to get a fang, because you do need a fang out of this.
Exactly. So Izala was able to get one of the required items, which is a fang, from that fight. So it's not a total loss.
But because of the misses, Izala is now just a little bit behind PH.
Yeah, on PH's screen, he waited on that green log for the beach bum to walk by. Izala got a better pattern and was able to just go. But you want to avoid extra encounters if you can in this game. At this point, it's fine to take the encounters with the beach bum because they, the big blue creatures, drop a certain item we need called a humor. Oh, he's always getting trolled with the same type of encounter. That's a shame. Double sand squirts again. So yeah, the puzzle in this area is you have to somehow get encounters with the Komodo pups. The first Komodo pup you have to close or seal off a cave by moving a boulder. The second Komodo pup is you have to get the drop on top of them while they're not looking. And the third Komodo pup is you have to chase them around and catch them. The PH is on the final Komodo pup fight. And when you defeat this encounter, or when you defeat these 2 Komodo pups, it will summon the mother Komodo, which is the boss of this region. She's not too happy that you've been taking out her children, her scales.
The sad thing is about the Komodo scales is that you only get 1 Komodo scale for each Komodo.
Yeah, that is true. So, okay. So you need to do about 28 damage to the Mama Komodo and then use a fireball plus 2 to finish her off. PH got some unfortunate luck there. He had a miss and the Aqua Beam went off early, but this should take care of it. From this encounter, PH is still looking for the feather drop, which the Komodo pups can still drop, and the mother Komodo usually drops a fang, a 90% chance to get it. But also, they're looking for stat gains. They're always looking for strength in this game, because it's one of the more important stats to get. Let's see. Okay, got it. And a magic. Nice.
But he didn't get the feather, so
No feather and no humor for PH. Yeah, so that means both of them are going to have to get an extra encounter in the next area to get a humor drop. They had rather fast starts, finishing the Mama Komodo before. Ooh, Izala got, well, it didn't matter for Izala, but Izala got the rare tablet drop from the Mama Komodo. If you had to rely on that single Fang drop, which you need one to go forward with the game, if you had to rely on it and you got that rare drop, you would feel pretty bad. But Izala has plenty of Fangs, so it's nothing to worry about.
PH that needed the fang got the fang. It's fantastic.
It's nice. Yeah, so a good goal is to defeat the Mama Komodo before 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and both of them were able to do it before 10 minutes, so that's really good for them. But that extra encounter they're going to have to take is going to cost about 40 or so seconds just to get through. And there's a chance they don't even get the item that they want, so they might have to take a second encounter. Yeah, but we'll go over what all the materials we need and what they're used for as it becomes more relevant. Right now, we're just sitting on the beach and enjoying the view and having a chat with our girlfriend. This is the life. Not wrong. Man, they chose some great names for this this race.
Serge hears somebody whispering.
Yeah, we're about to see some of the strangeness that is involved with this game. Story-wise, Chrono Cross is kind of a convoluted story. The plot is kind of difficult to follow, and they kind of explain everything at the very end of the game, so it all makes sense. But for now, we just see Serge, and he's seemingly watching a tidal wave approach him, is about to kill him, but that doesn't happen. Instead, he gets transported to a parallel world, one in which he did not die in, or wait, he did die in. There we go. In this world, he is very much alive, but in the parallel world that the game takes place in, that Serge had died 10 years ago when he was
And there's a
7
guy
years
that
old.
dumps all this plot on you a little bit later. But for those of you just coming in here and not quite understanding, that's kind of what happens. So, on your second or third playthrough, you kind of understand, okay, this is a parallel world. And so you've got home world, and this one is called another world, the parallel world. And they're different in different ways, and the characters are slightly different because they've made decisions differently over the last 10 years when the world's kind of split apart.
Yeah, that's right. One of the functions of the game that you can do is on the start screen or on the world map, you can display what world you're in. I didn't know that until it's kind of fed to you later by another character, but gives you some nice script and helps you keep track of where exactly you are in the game, because it can get confusing because you're essentially on the same world map between the two worlds, and if you can't keep track of them, you could end up getting lost. Anyway, after that impressive faceplant, Serge wakes up on the beach. He's awakened by an older man and a friendly Komodo pup, one that doesn't want to run away or attack him. And Serge doesn't know what happened, so he asks, "Where's Lena?" And the old man tells him, "You're a friend of Lena's, huh? Well, she's in the village. Go talk to her." So because both runners did not get a feather, they have to jump into that hole, as you see on PH's screen, and on the center island, that treasure chest has a feather that they need. That feather is going to allow us to forge a better weapon for Serge. So it's very necessary that we pick it up, because even though it costs about 15 seconds if you don't get the drop from the previous enemies, it's going to make up more for it than what the 15 seconds cost the runners. Going to be able to essentially survive for the rest of the game. That weapon is just that important to get.
There are actually two weapon upgrades that we're going to be going after. Can you explain what those two weapons are and what's needed for each one?
Yeah, so we're going to pick up a steel swallow. So right now, Surge's weapon is called a swallow. It's like a a dual-edged blade, or double-ended blade with a staff. And currently he has a tier 1 item. And we're about to make tier 3 weapons from tier 3 material. And at this early in the game does not expect you to have that tier 3 material, which is iron. So we're going to make a steel swallow and an iron dagger for 2 of our characters. And then later on, we'll make more iron weapons for other characters as well. But all the drops we were talking about, the humors, the fang, the feather, all that is going to be our ingredients to make these more powerful weapons. It'll be a tremendous help.
Now, if the drops are really bad, then people will always make the steel swallow, but sometimes I'll have to kind of give up on the iron dagger and run an ivory dagger instead, which, yeah.
Yeah, the power increase is great, but sometimes more importantly is the accuracy increase, which can be as important or more important than just getting raw strength. So on PH and Izala's screen, they're talking to Lena, and Lena does not recognize Serge because this is Serge from a different world. So she says, "I knew a kid named Serge. Why don't you go visit his grave?" And so that's where PH is at. It's at Cape Howell. Like I mentioned before, both runners failed to get a humor drop. So they're going to get this encounter with the beach bum. Luckily, PH got 2 beach bums, which is the ideal type of encounter to get. Gives him 2 chances at a humor drop. And with those humors, he'll forge the weapons in like 10 minutes or so. Izala not getting the ideal fight, but still has a chance of getting the humor.
So PH only got 1 humor.
Yeah. So some enemies in this game, there's a 10% chance. It's like 11 or 10% chance that they don't drop anything. And then of the 90 or so remaining percentage, then there's a 10% chance you get the rare drop, or the 90% chance you get the common drop. And the common drop is the humor. So luckily, PH got the common and the rare drop there. And luckily, Izala got the humor that he needs as well. So they're on their way to the grave, and one of the more difficult fights to get through, or cleanly, is the Karsh salt and pepper fight.
Salt and pepper, you're going to meet them here. They act as tutorial battles for us. They make mistakes, and you get to learn from their mistakes, so you don't have to make them. Meanwhile, we get to meet this person here, the girl, of course, as the game refers to. This character is actually named Kid, and in the speed run, you really want to be a jerk to Kid. You want to say no to her all the time, and you want to leave her to, well, spoilers a little bit later on, but you don't want to help her later on. That's really important because it wastes so much time if you do so, and you miss out on the characters that we actually need for the speedrun. So,
yeah, she appears here as our savior. She's here to help us out, but surprisingly, she kind of knew who we are before we even met her, because Kid knows things that she's not willing to tell us until later. But that's neither here nor there at the moment. So for this tutorial fight, all 3 characters, Karsh, Salt, and Pepper, have about like 30,000 HP until the tutorial finishes. So right there, the tall, skinny guy Salt went up and attacked Serge, initiates this dialogue, then the tutorial ends. When the tutorial ends, the characters revert back to their normal HP levels, which is like 100 and 80 and 60, something like that. But depending on Kid's strength and magic values, both runners are going to take certain strategies against the characters to try to defeat them as quickly as possible. So on PH's screen, I saw Kid had a +1 to strength, but not a +1 to magic. So it's probably going to do a 1-1, 2-3. But even if you have the perfect setup, if you can't hit the enemy, sadly, it doesn't help you out at all. So PH got an unfortunate miss there. Izala's Kid is also at +1 strength, and good magic, too. So Izala might have a faster fight here.
the percentages for the regular attacks, click them on the left half of the screen. You can do a single strength attack, which has a better percentage to hit. Of course, does less damage. You can also choose to do a second one, which has a lower percent hit chance, and the third one, which is maximum strength but has a lowest percent hit chance. And those percent chances there are exact percent chances. So even if you see a 99% and you expect it to hit, at 1 out of every 100 times, it will not hit. So, and over a course of a game like this, where you're running a speed run, you do lots and lots of those attacks, so you are going to get misses. So what you actually hope for is the misses come at opportune times, or times when they really don't affect much, as opposed to getting misses that tend to affect an outcome of a run, or sometime when you really needed them to hit and then they miss. So
Yeah, we saw on PH's side he was using fireball attacks, and as Doc was explaining, we have to deal with our melee attacks, dealing with the hit percentages. But with element attacks, they are guaranteed to hit. So although the fireball attacks were slow, PH was able to finish the fight pretty cleanly. But Izala, because I think he has a slightly better fight, is able to catch up by 10, 20 seconds. I saw on PH's screen he got a +1 to strength, so his Surge is at 11, and Izala's is still at 9. That's not great. But both of them got the standard drops that they needed, the common drops, so they'll be good for getting kids Iron Dagger later on. Because if they just have one humor, which both of them do, they needed to get that Ivory Vest drop, which is a 90% chance to get it. Luckily they did, because then they'll exchange that Ivory Vest later for an Ivory Mail that PH112358 will be holding, and then they'll disassemble that mail to get that second humor that they need.
just little things. We have a third commentator, thankfully, joining us today. So welcome, Handy.
Welcome, Handy.
Hello, guys. I heard that you said Izala is still at 9 strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing you get the ivory vest. Vest. You don't want to do ivory dagger when you have a low strength as well.
All right. They're at the most important part of the run, refusing Kid, as Doc said. So at this part of the game, we have a choice to make. We either take Kid with us to go on our journey, or we refuse her, and by refusing her, we get access to Lena and PH112358. Both of them will join our party. And Lena ends up being very important to the speed run. So it's a good idea to say no to Kid.
Robert, I've noticed you pronounce names with fancy accents. I always said Pashul.
Oh.
And you say Pashul?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's okay.
Well, I mean, it's fantasy, I feel like with a fantasy game, you could pronounce any name any way you want. So as long as people know what you're talking about.
Sound more fantasy-ish than Pashul. I mean, Pashul sounds kind of ordinary. So Pashul it is, I guess.
They both got through denying Kid 3 times, so that's good.
Run can continue.
Run can continue.
When you first play this game and you're confronted with that choice, it's tempting to think of it as one of those thou must, because it keeps asking you over and over again. And in the past, when RPGs had to make a decision, they would just keep asking again and again until it does. So it actually looks like that at first, but if you do say no 3 times, you've successfully denied Kid from joining you, and you get Lena and PH112358 instead. There you go.
Yeah, Lena definitely going to be the more important of the 2 character gets, but she'll become way more important more in the second half of this race.
Yeah, early on we track strength values, but with Lena we're going to be tracking her magic, and as Handy mentioned, she becomes very important for the run, and depending on her magic stats, things will go either swimmingly or they will just drag on and lose so much time. But hopefully both these runners will get at least the average and expected Lena values that we're expected to get.
I missed it, but I'm assuming you said they all have all the materials that when they get determined, they're going to both be doing Iron Dagger?
Yep, that's correct.
They both had to take extra fights to get those, but they did get them.
Oh, okay. Well, at least they both had to do it.
And they both had to do the feather backup too.
Yeah, the early game is one of the more random parts of the run because we have to deal with really low hit percentages and then dealing with the drop rates. But surprisingly, these two runners are at a very similar position, which is great for the race. Keeping it close early on is, I think, more interesting than someone getting an extraordinary lead at the start.
But
I
there
agree.
have been
Yeah, they're.
times when those
Oh, go ahead.
extraordinary leads have been evaporated by later RNG. So
Yeah, that's true. So on PH's screen, we're coming up on the second tutorial fight. This one teaches us about turn elements. Because they know Serge is white element innate, they try to turn him black, thinking that's going to weaken him, but that's not how turn elements work. So we, again, as Doc was mentioning, we learn through Salt and Pepper's mistakes on how to go about fighting, or at least what they're trying to teach us.
Ooh. PH had a pretty an early miss, which you don't really like to see in this fight because this fight can drag on. But luckily, he got a good AP roll. He still hasn't seen, or he got all the way through the fireball before strength came out. Ooh, but a double miss.
Poshul, boy. Yeah, this fight is very random because we have to rely on Poshul's strength because she's actually pretty strong, but she doesn't like to hit. So you could end up
There is
losing
this-
a lot of time here.
Okay, there is a slight risk here that I've actually seen where if you happen to miss again, and Salt gets his next turn, crosscut could happen.
Oh. Yeah, I forgot about that.
They do a
And
dual
when-
tech and it sucks to get hit by.
Yeah,
And when you
unfortunately,
hit
Lena
here-
is really she's close to getting knocked out here. And if she does get knocked out, she will not get the chance to get a magic up after the fight and improve her HP.
the only way you can actually miss out on a star level is to be in the party and be knocked out while the fight ends.
Right.
Yeah, hidden mechanic of the game is that all the characters that you can collect in your party gain the level ups, the stat ups in the background. But if they're in the party and they're knocked out and they're not Sprig, they will end up missing out on that potential stat up. Right. So PH's Lena was at 11 magic, and I think his Surge got to 12, which is really good for PH.
Yeah, PH's stats are looking really nice. His Lena, his being Izala, is I think at 9. I just saw. Still.
Yeah. That's okay. We have 5 more major boss fights, so that's 5 more opportunities to get a +1 to magic. So it might be very well be that Izala's Lena will overtake PH's Lena in the future, but we'll see.
Yep, that is very true. There's times that I leave Lena at 9 and I get her at like 14, and there's times I leave her at 11 here and I get her at 11.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've made it to Termina, and we're going to have the opportunity to choose how we want to proceed with the next level, because there are 3 options we can take. I assume most people casually have taken the Guile's route into Viper's Manor. If you go straight into the bar, you'll eventually talk to Guile, and you'll be locked into his quest. You can go to the left side and talk and get around to doing Nikki's quest, which is a bit longer. But for now, for the speed run, we're going to do Pierre's quest. So he's on the right side in the smithy. But before we could do any of that, we have to talk to Statue Man. Hello,
Statue Man.
He loves that statue, by the way.
He does. But after they talk to Statue Man, we're gonna see them take advantage of those materials that they were picking up, and being very careful to make sure they get here in Termina, or for here in Termina. They're gonna go pick up an item because we actually still need more materials. We need iron actually, which is the more important of the two, are the components for the weapons that we're gonna get. But to do that, luckily, there's a Profiteer's Purse hidden very closely to the blacksmith shop that we're going to disassemble to use to make the weapons we're going to get.
Because surprisingly, the Profiteer's Purse is made of iron.
Exactly.
I think I saw PH's kid had 8 strength when we left her. Now she's got 9, so that's really good. I'm not sure about Izala's, but kid's strength is going to play a part in the next section. Mostly Serge is going to be doing... Oh, also he's 9 strength for Izala,
Nice.
so that's good. But mostly Serge is going to be doing the damage for all the enemies we'll fight. Kid will, she will contribute with chip damage, but the stronger she is, the more use we can get out of her attacks and speed up the fights along the way. You see PH and Izala headed to that mansion in the background to go pick up the Profiteer's purse, as Handy mentioned. And they're going to take that to the smithy and disassemble all the materials that they need to and forge the Steel Swallow and Iron Dagger.
Yep, and Izala is definitely going to probably end up be using Kid more often than PH is, just because of the nature of the game with Izala still not having... Well, did he get a strength at the Fossil Valley? I actually didn't catch that.
I think he's still at 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I did miss it as well.
I like how Zippa says, "Oh, we don't have. Too bad we don't have any iron. After you've just made iron stuff."
Yep. Again, the game doesn't expect you to have that material this early.
Yeah, we end up keeping, like, even in the 80%, we end up keeping the Steel Swallow that we make here for a great portion of the game.
Yeah, it's past the halfway mark, past Miguel. So you get a lot of utility out of it. So that's why it's really important to pick up that feather in case you didn't get the drop.
Yeah, so on both their screens right now, we see him talking to Pierre. Pierre's gonna tell them, to be able to do like his, well, he didn't say exactly, but to be able to do his route, he's missing up his hero's medal, and it just so happens that this kid outside playing, running around, has the hero medal that we need.
Yeah, it's really convenient how close it is. It's a bit of an homage to Tata and Chrono Trigger, who ended up having a similar type of item. But instead, he played the hero, even though he wasn't, and disappointed everybody, whereas Pierre just wants to be a hero. And Pierre is going to prove his worth, so he will definitely be the hero he deserves to be.
His best use is... Well, to that when he does it. And he's one of two characters that speaks with a French accent in the game. One thing somebody will meet in a little bit later on.
That is true. We saw both of them deny Pierre at that character selection screen, and just because if you're quick enough, it's actually faster to do it outside on the world map here. You avoid some dialogue.
So with the Pierre route, you just make your way to the front gates and you charge. You fight everything and break your way into the manor. If you chose Guile's route, you would do a sneaky mission while you climb up the side of a cliff. And then Nikki's route, you would go into the forest and enter the manor via not the sewers, but no, wait, it is the sewers. Up a well in the underground river.
Yep. Whereas with Pierre's, we are literally just gonna charge the front gates.
This is one of a few tricky fights where even though you get the regular battle music, it counts as a star level. So
that's actually a good point. Most of the time, star fights end up being synonymous with bosses or mini bosses. But I guess this one actually counts as more like a mini boss. But you do get a full star from this fight.
Yeah, the goal with all the guard fights in the manor is to defeat the guards before they get a chance to attack. That's tricky because we don't know on their first attack when they are going to go. Sometimes they go immediately, sometimes you can very, very clearly defeat them before they get a chance to attack. But relatively clean fight from PH, and he's all finishing off with a crit with Kid. That was really nice. PH's Serge is at 13, so that's really good for him.
Oh, so PH
for us here to actually have Pierre lead us into this next fight. So Pierre has been put in the front of the party.
That is true. So PH is going to, assuming he gets no misses, which you can never fully assume, will be able to do a faster version of this fight slightly because of his strength.
Yeah, Izala with 10 strength on Surge is gonna have a bit of a struggle here. Does he catch up? He was summoned, the behemoth.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
No.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Very nice. So Pierre, in an effort to show how much of a hero he can be, actually dodged all of his attacks, which is not what you want to happen, by the way. Normally Pierre gets, like on the Izala screen, gets flicked with the finger and gets knocked out. And then he gets revived later, which puts a white on the field. There's already a white on the field on the top left corner of the screen, but that white will increase Surge's damage against everybody. But if Pierre dodges everything, you get a blue from the Cure Plus on the screen. So that doesn't boost Surge's attack power, and it weakens Kid's attack power, because she is the opposite element of blue. She's red.
So, PH, he did get the blue on the field, but in his favor, he swung 3s, and one of them crit. So this is still going to put into Flame Knock.
Very lucky.
Or unlucky and then lucky.
Yeah.
Whereas Izala has the more standard fight where Pierre gets knocked out, they put a white on the field.
Yeah, so when you do a certain amount of damage to catch up, he'll use that Flame Knock attack, which is a brilliant triple tech. And as a result, it knocks out both Salt and Pepor, so all you have to do is focus fire on catch up instead. But depending on the start and hits and misses and strength values, it can take a while before you get to see the Flame Knock, which is what happened on the Izala screen. He did not get a lucky crit, so we're just now seeing it now.
Yeah, and unfortunately what that means is, like, not only does it take longer for you to kill naturally, like, you're also having to see all their turns in between, where if you get Flame Knock early, catch up does you the favor of just denying their turns. PH finishing.
Yeah, good fight on PH's screen. There's a chance that they get the rare magic ring drop from this fight. If they do get that, that'll help them out.
14 strength.
14, yeah. Alright, but no magic ring.
What
Izala
does a
not
silver earring do, or is that just something you sell in this run?
just something you sell. Or, well, you disassemble it later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, luckily
Izala had-
Izala's kid got to 11 strength, so we're going to see a change in strategies between the two of them when they fight the guards. PH will have Surge lead and do a 2-2-3, and if they all connect, it'll knock out the silver armored guards. With Izala, because his kid reached 11 strength, she'll be able to do that, but Surge will not. But it looks like, well, I assume both runners are going to go for guard skip, so Handy, you could explain how that works better than I
okay, yeah.
can.
Yeah, so guard skip, essentially the guard you see Izala passing on the screen, or they were both just passing in front of the main guards of the manor, will usually stop you from getting behind them, around them, or they have like a proximity that they'll run at you and stop you if you try to get behind them. But luckily, we're going to take advantage of the fact that the game, for some reason, I don't know the technical reason why it does, will allow you to move freely behind them if you have another guard aggro on you. So for the setup, what they're going to do after they leave here is they're going to grab one of the guards in the courtyard and run with them behind them with it being aggroed on them, and try to sneak behind the guards and line up with the front door. And in between the text box of the aggro guard going, huh, where'd they go? As if like when he loses aggro, and the other guards in the front saying, hey, get them. I don't know if that's the exact text boxes, but between those two text boxes, there's going to be a frame, I believe, or 2 frames that is, you're able to get a confirm press. And if you actually do get it, you get to skip the front door guards completely. Saves anywhere between like 50 seconds, 40 seconds to like a minute 10, depends on how bad the fights go because of strength and misses and stuff like that. But it is a good amount of save. But you do lose about 20 seconds for attempting it. OPH is not going to attempt it.
Well, this is a chance for Izala to get a little bit ahead if Izala chooses to go for it. Doing guard skip is not required for this run or any percent. It's just a nice thing. Izala is going for it.
Yeah. Oh,
Izala got it.
He got it. He got it.
Very nice. And PH unfortunately got a 4 guard fight, which is the slowest type of encounter to get. And it looks like a really bad AP start from the guards. So He's going to be here for quite a bit, whereas Izala's going to make good on his lead.
I imagine the reason PH didn't go for it is because he was thinking, he has good strength or whatever, so like the guard fights won't be that bad. And there's a chance that you don't get 4 guards. There's a high chance you don't get 4 guards. You only get 3 guards here, and that's what you wanted to see. So there's no way he would have known he was going to get punished with the 4 guard fight, but that is the risk.
Absolutely. It's definitely more consistent to take the guard fight, because even if you go for a guard skip and you fail it, you can try again and again, but after a certain point you start losing time trying to go for guard skip rather than just have taken the fight. So it was a reasonable risk to take.
PH in his race against Carbon actually went for the guard skip and lost a lot of time because it went wrong, and then
Ooh. Sorry, Doc. I just watched PH have to do like 4 different run-ups because he missed like on trying to finish doing the last tap on that sergeant guard. And that's the thing. Like, you can have all the strength in the world, but you still need to be able to hit.
Yep. Yeah, hitting is more important in the early game than just having really good stats. I mean, it's always important throughout the game, throughout like any percent, but eventually stats are going to start affecting how much time they save or lose. So Izala is in the lead. He was able to, PH just entered the code and fell into this trap, whereas Izala is just exiting the trap. And Izala's going to make his way to pick up the code to go forward into the manor. So if anybody wants to guess what the code will be, it's 2 numbers between 1 and 9, and including 1 and 9, and order does not matter. So you could have a 1-9, a 9-1, 5-5, anything like that. But they're looking for a sum of 10 or less, if possible. But they're going to have to take whatever they get. Yeah, so I'll guess 7-7.
Yeah, so we see Izala picking up that revive. That revive is actually even the only revive we actually pick up even for the entirety of the any percent. Oh, I called Izala.
Nice handy. Psychic. Okay, so Izala got the 5-4 code, a sum of 9, which is pretty decent. See if PH can get a slightly better code or worse. But Izala makes his way to the treasury room. There are 2 guards guarding it, and they ask you for the password. And the password is silence. You should not actually choose any of the options they give you. And then you could skip an encounter with the guards. Izala will pick up the bronze armor and maybe the bronze sword to sell for later. And they'll make their way and prepare by equipping Turn Yellow and Revive onto Pierre. And make their way to the boss fight, the Neo End Bulbs.
Yeah, because Izala got guard skip, the end of Manor up to Manor could be a very close race, just because we assume that if PH can hit, PH is gonna have some quicker fights. So we're gonna see if PH can end up closing the gap that was made from guard skip throughout here.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it, but in the manor, we want to avoid walking in the center of the red carpet, because a will-o-wisp will drop on their head, and it's just a surprise ambush encounter. So we see the runners, 5-1 code for PH. So that's a bit better. So we see the runners kind of run by hugging up against the walls in the background, and that movement is intentional to avoid getting those ambush encounters.
Yeah, so on Izala's screen, this is one of the first fights that I really actually started looking. But ideally, you would like for one or both of these enemies to be female, just because of the way the game handles like gender. It gives you a 0.5 reduction on health if you're a female enemy. So, which actually is beneficial for the speedrun, obviously, because it means you have to do less damage to kill.
In this fight, there is a risk. So the Neo End Bulbs will use their melee attacks at first, and then they have an opportunity to use an element like Bushwhacker or Bush Basher, green elements. And there is a danger in the sense that it can poison one of our party members. It's very rare, but if it happens, we hope it doesn't happen to Serge or Kid, because we're going to need them to live. Ooh, nice crit for Izala. Okay, there's the
Yeah.
Bushwhacker. Should be fine.
Yeah, getting poisoned here is really, really rough, just because we don't have any antidotes at this point. That was a good fight from Izala.
Yeah, it was a really good fight. Sub 45 time is always nice. Let's see if he gets the rare Eagle Eye drop. Did not. That's okay.
His kid is so powerful.
Yeah.
She's at 12, which is on par with Serge, who is a little bit less powerful.
Yeah, there's the upcoming fight, we usually rely on Serge to do most of the damage, but there is an alternative strategy where you use Kid to do most of the damage. I do that when I have a weak Serge and Kid is at like 11 or 12 strength. So we might see Izala do that here. Might change up the how we commentate the run, but for now Izala is entering Karsh's room and talking to this treasure chest 20 times. Because after 20 times Karsh gets fed up with refusing us, so he just gives us the item. And that item is a Dragoon Gauntlet. It gives a +3 to our attack power, which is very useful for the run.
So useful. PH is... Oh, go ahead, Doc.
For those of you watching in chat, we are testing out our new Frozen Flame Leader Indicator. As you can see by Izala's name, there's a Frozen Flame because he is in the lead right at the moment. If it gets close, then we'll kind of remove it, and if PH takes back the lead, then we'll put it over on PH's thing. So that was the Frozen Flame Leader Indicator for our runs. So just testing it out. But yeah.
Yeah, on Izala's screen, we're seeing the code that they got that was random come into play. Each one of those spins takes roughly about a second or so. So Izala getting a sum 9 and PH getting a sum 6. You can assume that there's about a 3-second or so difference between it, so nothing big.
Yeah, as it's mentioned before, it's more of a morale thing. When we're doing serious attempts of this run, you hope to really get that low code, but if you don't, it's not something to be upset over. In fact, if you get the worst code possible, which is a 9-9, you should be proud, because it's really rare to get that. Although it is a bit unsatisfying, but...
Coming up on Izala's screen, and shortly after on PH's screen, we're going to see the Marcy fight. And Marcy is a fight that is routinely one that you really start counting. You have to be really maintaining, like counting your AP, maintaining how much damage you're doing, because the whole point of the fight is you are trying to not get Ice Blast from Marcy because it makes the fight 1 dangerous, 2 makes it Ice Blast is kind of slow whenever she does it because she does it multiple times. And then obviously you want to avoid her next turn because then she'll Cure Plus. So the whole point is what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to do enough damage to where she goes right before she goes into her crit stance, and then we don't let her get another turn while she's in her crit stance. They're just going to try to completely skip out on that. So they need to do about 125 damage or so, all in one burst.
Yeah, if you were following the speedrun notes for this, if you were interested in learning the game, you could kind of go off notes for all the fights up to this point and just kind of, if you hit or miss, fine. This Marcy fight, we got to really start paying attention to AP, which stands for action points. Got to pay attention to the damage we do, how much HP Marcy has. So it's one of the first tests of the speedrun. To keep track of things, as Marcy is not easy to deal with, especially when things get go off script and become rather challenging to deal with.
Yeah, Marcy will punish you hard if you're just kind of swinging just to swing.
Exactly.
Yep. So over on Izala's screen, we're gonna see the start of this fight. Izala's gonna open up with a 3-3 because we obviously we don't know what Marcy's starting AP is for this.
Got a miss from Serge.
Oh, but really good AP.
Really good AP. You're right. So I think 249 damage is her halfway point, and he's already done about 150 at this point. It's over 200 now. Yeah, he's
so
just
she
going
should
for
cat's
it.
cradle.
Yeah. Lucky hits on Izala's screen, at least for a kid.
Right.
Oh,
I
just
think it's
barely.
ooh, yeah. I think what Izala was doing is because his surge is a little bit weaker. Uh-oh. Okay, so he's gonna you see him hesitating. He's deciding what he wants to do. He did do a 1-2-2 dash and slash, so he does have one extra turn here if this doesn't end up killing. And he's gonna fireball.
Yeah, if you wanted to play a little bit more risky, you could have Kid run up and hit. It is faster than this fireball animation, but you have to deal with the consequences of missing. But good fight
Right.
for Izala.
If Marcy gets a turn while she's in the critical health, she will ice blast you, and she does 2 ice blasts on your characters, which could, of course, Kid was low health, could have killed her, and even if not, it could make one of the characters frozen, which is a status basically you're not moving. So if everybody is frozen or dead by the end of the fight, that would have counted as a game over. So you have to be very careful there. That's why you have to, once you see that they go into crate, you have to try to give as much damage as you can before she gets another turn.
Right.
Yeah,
and
oh, go ahead.
oh,
Andy.
go ahead.
I was gonna say on PH's screen, his Surge is at 15 strength already, so that's kind of comparable to Izala's Kid, in that whereas Izala's Surge was kind of weak, his Kid was able to pick up the slack. But on PH's side, he doesn't have anything to worry about. His Kid is pretty good, and his Surge is pretty great. So
PH
he should
actually
do well. Speaking of or Kid, it's okay though. At this point, Kid has done her job, so Serge didn't even have to dash and slash. So pretty decent fight for PH. It was fast, but he's gonna have to spend a little extra time healing Kid up after the fight. And
Well,
they both got Ice Blast.
PH didn't even have to dash so. What PH actually following the normal strats, luckily didn't miss and had his strength at the point to where she usually goes and we pause or whatever for Cat's Cradle or whatever. He immediately put her into critical stance, so he was doing lots of damage.
So Izala was introducing us to Harl, or I like to say Harley, a very important character for the run, or for just casually the story. But Balthazar gave us a tip to go up to that pillar to hit a switch, and we get the final guard fight of Viper Manor. This one is required, and you get either 3 guards or 4. So luckily Izala got 3. But even at Izala's strength, a 2-3 from Serge, as long as it connects, will knock out these silver armored guards. I think the threshold is 11 strength. If you have 11 at this point, a 2-3 probably won't knock him out, but we'll see what PH gets to.
Yeah, at PH's strength, with 3 guards and no misses, he will probably have a pretty smooth fight, which could be a little bit of a evening out for the times here, since Izala's had a little bit of a rough fight.
Exactly. And going on to the Lynx fight afterward, PH is in a good position to get a faster fight as long as he doesn't miss at all. That's the key to the early game, is just not to miss.
Yeah, we keep mentioning the strength, and then we have to keep putting an asterisk saying if he doesn't miss, like, because we keep mentioning it is so important. So does PH get? PH got 3 guards as well.
Very nice. Yeah, so on Izala's screen, they enter General Viper's room, and they see the glowing blue stone on the table. Kid's like, is this the frozen flame? And no, it's not. It's a dragon tear. That'll come into play later for the story. He's having General Viper's having a conversation with Lynx, and Lynx will step out, will fight his shadow. Not Lynx himself, but his shadow. Looks like PH had a really good Marcy fight. Oh, wait, what? Oh. I saw the dash and slash. I was like, wait, did you dash and slash on Marcy? No.
No. So yeah, at his strength, he like dash and slash. Well, actually, I think he needed a tap. I think he was at 15, but he did dash and slash on the sergeant.
Yeah, at 15, I believe a dash and slash is enough. I think even if you get a low roll from it, but 14, it's a roll risk.
On Izala's screen, we're going to see open up with a 3-3. This is also another fight where you really kind of have to be wary of how the fight works. And if not, then it can become kind of long. Essentially, what they're going to try to do is, once again, they're looking for the 0.25% health mark or crit stance from Lynx. And they're going to try to avoid Lynx using Nostrum, which he does if he gets a turn there. However, the way we're going to stop that is actually not by doing enough damage to make sure he doesn't get enough a turn at that point, but we're going to actually use an element on him on the same turn that he drops into that crit stance. And that will basically override him doing Nostrum, and instead he'll do a counter element. For getting hit by Dash and Slash, he'll respond with Anti-White. By getting hit by Pilfer, he'll respond with Imbecile.
Yeah, we saw on Izala's screen there were some misses from Kid and Serge, but Kid got a crit in at the last minute, so that kind of balanced out the damage. So Lynx is about to go into critical HP as long as this hits. Yep. So it looks like I'm sorry, did I say PH on Izala? But this fight's going pretty well for Izala. He got the magic ring steal, which is kind of what you hope to get. There's a 10% chance that you get a power glove instead, which has its utility as well, but more often than not, the magic ring is the item you want to get.
Right. His Lynx is okay. I'm about to say that Lynx has got to be very close to dying.
All right, pretty clean fight for Izala.
I mean, and so far, well, one miss so far, but honestly, PH has the strength to make up for it. PH has been having a pretty decent fight thus far.
Yeah, it was a sub 56 Lynx 1 for Izala, which is always a good time to get, especially with the guard skip. Getting that time is achievable for sure. Oh, a power glove for PH instead of the magic ring. All right.
And the double miss post Pilfer. So now both Kid and Serge. The problem with it is they're both at weird stamina now, so it can make the fight a little bit awkward.
Yeah. But PH will go for the dash and slash here because we still want to control Lynx's AI so that he does the anti... Oh, wait, he already did it. Man, falling behind here.
Yeah, he defended across the board because he's trying to refresh his stamina. Ooh, he did another defend there with the other two defending, so it passed again. Yeah, he just doesn't... He's trying to avoid the Nostrum.
Yeah, this is pretty scary. He doesn't knock out Lynx this next round. Oh, yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
He actually probably doesn't even need a fireball. Like, I think Kid can probably finish here as long as she doesn't miss. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Whew. All right, bit tricky there, but PH finished the Lynx 1 fight. Just shy under 57 minutes.
Yeah, 56 with no guard skip is not bad at all. And this race is nowhere near over. There's still a lot to come.
Yeah, there's a lot that can change in the next, 20, 30 minutes for sure. Well, I mean, the first 15 minutes we just get cutscenes and we go shopping and things like that, but
right.
Pretty soon we're going to hit a high variance section for times.
Yeah, story-wise, what we're seeing on both their screens, but more so Izala, is that to get out of here, Kid has taken Riddell as a pseudo-hostage. But they're just using Riddell to kind of get out here onto the balcony, I guess you'd call it. And they're going to get cornered. And Lynx is going to poison Kid. Which will actually lead to our next big choice in the game coming up.
Yeah, so in a fit of desperation, Kid has taken Riddell hostage so that we could escape, but instead of going downstairs, we went up. So our only choice now is kind of to jump off the cliff. Which is not a bad choice, as it turns out. It'll all work out.
Yep, and coming up, for everyone who's seen it, is one of the best lines in the game. Because Lynx is going to say it.
He's going to say it. It's going to be the thing. And he's
He's
going to say the thing, everybody. Yeah, apparently Lynx has been waiting for Serge the whole time. Because Serge...
Dun dun dun.
Is the Chrono trigger. Oh!
He said it!
He said it. Made so many people angry. When I was a kid, I had no idea what Chrono Trigger was, so I was like, okay, cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
Serge can't handle the news, so he jumps off the cliff. Oh, and Pierre joins us as well. Pierre was back there the whole time. So he's always going to do an equip. He's going to take off the ivory dagger from Kid and remove the revive from Pierre. We'll sell the iron dagger later for money. With guard skip that Izala got, he's a tad bit short on money, but he should be fine. It's more important in any percent to have the right money values. But for this category, we can skip out on a little bit more.
Yeah, so the main thing is whether or not Izala is even considering potentially post this race, like turning it into an 80% attempt. Because if so, then the money can become a lot more tight because he needs to pick up Diminish and he did get guard skip. But if he's decided that he's for sure ending this run at the end of like where the race ends, then he can skip Diminish, and money's honestly, I think if you don't get Diminish, it's pretty. You have a lot of room for money issues.
Yeah, and just in case you don't have enough, there's the option of selling some elements that we pick up. One of those is a panacea, which we can sell 2 of those, and they're worth 250 gold each, which is quite a lot at that point in the game.
Right.
So if it comes to that, they'll just sell off elements that they don't need.
Yeah, so with those prices in mind that you just heard Corp say, like just to kind of put into perspective how expensive the Magnify and Diminish are that you usually pick up, they're 1,670 gold each.
Yeah,
They're pretty
they are
expensive.
really expensive, but they are worth it. They're very,
They are.
very good elements for the speed run. So we arrived in Goldove, or Goldove, however you want to say the name, and Kid, she was in a fit of bravado, was like, hey, I'm doing all right. Then she collapsed. So we took her to this clinic where this doctor's checking her out, and he diagnosed her as poisoned, and it's a certain type of poison that is uncurable because the creature that gives off the antidote doesn't exist anymore in this world. So we're left to a dilemma. Do we try to save Kid by finding some other way, or do we just abandon her and move on? So naturally we're gonna just move on, because that's what we do. We go fast in speedruns.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that like the objectively worst choice in terms of like characters and stuff for the game is made by actually doing the good thing, whereas by saying no, we're not helping Kid, we end up getting a much better character than what we would.
Yeah, so we see on Izala's screen, good old Harlow is mocking Korcha. Good for her. He deserves it. But if you pay attention, you're going to see an interesting thing that I didn't notice until like 6 or 7 months ago. Is that when Harl disappears here, she doesn't actually leave. You can barely make out her outline, and she's standing right next to the bed. She's listening to every word that's being said. And for any percent, when you choose to not save Kid, you don't get access to the Astral Amulet, which is the item that Kid is about to bequeath to us. Because Korcha takes it away from us, because he thinks we don't deserve it. But later on, Harl will return, and she will give us the Astral Amulet. So it makes sense for, by refusing to save Kid, that Harl was here to take it when no one was looking, and that then she'll give us the ability to go between the dimensions.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. For a long time, like I was under the assumption that maybe it was just like a hardware limitation or something of making her leave the screen doing that way. But it does make sense story wise, like when you put it in the perspective of like that's why she does have the Astral Amulet.
Yeah, shout outs to Andy who first pointed that out to me, because ever since then I can never not see Harl just standing there in front of the bed.
Right. Yep, and on Izala's screen you actually see what Corp was just talking about, where Korcha took the amulet and he's like, no, you can't have it. And then now we're still gonna go do more talking. We're not done yet, even though we'd like to be. We're gonna put Pasha in the party, and then we're gonna go see Izala go run to Korcha's house.
Yeah, this section of the game, there's a lot of downtime. We don't do much in the speedrun besides just mashing text and moving from place to place. But we're going to be here for about 10 minutes of time, and we're about halfway through. We're close to halfway through at this point. But he's always going to make his way to Korcha again, because we are on an island and we have no way off the island, so we're going to naturally ask him for his boat, which is what you do when you ask somebody who is very angry with you to say, hey, can I borrow your boat? So we'll see the repercussions of that.
Very bold of Serge.
Serge
Just
don't
walk
care.
into his house.
Yeah, Korcha feels really disgusted that we don't choose to save Kid. And the reason for that is because he secretly just wants to marry her, because it was love at first sight, or whatever. So that's his whole thing against us. But naturally, the voice of reason shows up, Matcha. She's gonna set Korcha straight, telling him to stop being a brat and help him out. And, well, he still refuses, which is interesting. So instead, Matcha will pick up the pace and join our party later. And she's gonna help us out.
Yep. First, she's gonna give us there's a lot of text here, but she's gonna come back out. She's gonna leave, come back inside, and give us a frame. Actually, we're on PH's screen. We actually see PH is actually not that far behind. He's actually getting ready to come start the same text.
Yeah, they're very close. I think they have like a 2-minute difference in time. I think something like that.
Yeah. So after this bit of text, they're gonna go do a small little bit more text in front of I forget how you pronounce her name. Diria, yeah. And then we're gonna start the big shopping part of this race over in Termina, and then Marbil falling.
Yeah,
But we're almost through.
This. Oh, go ahead, Andy.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say we're
uh,
almost. you go.
Yeah, just a tidbit. I learned recently in one of the last races from Andy. He mentioned that when Matcha gives us the frame, she also gives us a bunch of money that helps us out with our purchasing stuff. So I didn't know about that money that was given to us until very recently.
I'll be real honest. I actually didn't notice it either. I just know about how much money we have when we need it. I actually didn't realize.
Yeah, there's so much to learn about this game, both from like a casual and lore perspective, and then from the speedrun perspective. There's just, yeah. I'm impressed with how much some of the runners of this game know.
Yep. And so we see Izala doing the last bit of dialogue, and then finally we get to leave Goldove, and then go ahead to doing, like we mentioned, the big shopping part of the run.
Yeah, Diria is a leader, a shaman leader, kind of an expert in all things wind and things to do with fate and dimensional distortions, as she mentions, which is her way of being vague and telling us to go back to the beach when we have the astral amulet, and that will allow us to go between the dimensions. But we don't have the astral amulet, so that kind of information is not going to be relevant until after Fort Dragonia. But if you were to choose to save Kid, then that would be very helpful, or kind of helpful, because I know I was confused as a kid about what she was talking about, but eventually I figured it out.
Same. I remember running around in this game casually as a kid a lot at some places.
Yeah, and it's still fun to run around because there's always stuff to see and interact with in this game. So it's not like you don't feel like you're wasting your time by exploring. At least I didn't.
Yeah, I agree. The world building, and the like environment of Chrono Cross is just nice to explore. But yep, we're on a Izala screen. You see Macha being the one to give us a ride out of Goldove and over to Termina. So after a little bit of like a small bit of talking, when we get to the port over here, we're gonna see Izala stop by the element shop, gonna buy some elements that are gonna be needed from this point going forward. Honestly, we're gonna buy a few, and then we're gonna stop by the blacksmith shop, disassemble and sell some stuff so that we can build the steel sword and the ladle and those are going to be used for one, Lena. Lena's going to be finally be making the important use that we were talking about going forward, and then we're going to pick up Glenn as well. And Glenn is one of the main reasons we denied Korcha, because Glenn is very, very important, not only just in this race going forward, but very important for the any percent as well.
Yeah, Pendle Steven mentioned, don't forget the dog. And that was a kind of an important point to mention that we didn't. After we talked to Korcha, after denying Kid, we had the opportunity to put either Pashul or Lena in our party. We put Pashul in the party because if we put Lena, as we go to this element shop, she'd have an extra conversation with the shopkeeper, Lisa. And I think it's like a 25-30 second cutscene. So it's one of the little things to mention. By having Pierre in the party, when we go to the smithy, he's going to have a little bit of extra dialogue, but it's only going to take like 5 or 6 seconds long.
Right. It's just a couple of text boxes.
Yeah, so some of the elements that he's always going to be picking up are tablets. They generally want 41 tablets. You can get 51 for safety. A bunch of Cure Plus, Heal All, and then the attacking elements, Aqua Beam, Aqua Ball, and Bush Basher. And depending on how you do things as a runner, you can buy more or less of certain of those elements. And we'll be equipping them later for pre-Fort Dragonia and all throughout Fort Dragonia, so it'll help us get through the game.
We did say Izala got the Ice Blast, right?
Yeah, they both got the Ice Blast, luckily. If they didn't, they would have to make sure to get an extra Aqua Ball. Aqua Ball is like a 10-second casting animation. I think Ice Blast is like a 6-second casting animation. So Aqua Ball is slower and it does less damage than Ice Blast. So it's really important that they get that common drop from Marcy. But every now and then, you get the rare drop and it's just very, very unfortunate there.
I could have actually saw it, but I'm going to be interested to see what Izala does with the Ice Blast, and then also I believe Izala bought 3 Aqua Balls. That's why I asked if I got the Ice Blast, because
right.
I believe usually only buy 2.
Yeah, it might have been that Izala wants to use extra Aqua Balls for damage as opposed to the Aqua Beams that are faster but do less damage.
Right.
But it could have been just a mistake or an oversight. We'll see. Yeah, so Izala already talked to Glenn, or overheard Glenn's conversation. We're about to pick him up, so if anybody in the chat wants to play a guessing game, you can guess how strong our Glens are going to be and our Lenas. Glenn could be anywhere from 10 to 20 strength, and on average, he's 15 or 16. So a good Glenn would be 16 or more strength, and that will definitely help out the runners here. We know that for PH, his Lena was at 11 when he left her, and Izala was at 9. So for Izala, Lena can be anywhere from 9 to 14 magic, and then for a PH, it's 11 to 16 magic. But their stats are going to have an impact on all the fights going forward. If PH gets really good stats on Glenn and Lena, he should be able to pull ahead of Izala, assuming they have relatively similar RNG.
Right. Yep. And obviously, the higher the better. So if you have wishful thinking for both these runners, you're guessing high on both the magic set and the Glenn set.
Yeah, I just hope nobody has any particularly low stats. It's really sad when that happens. Oh,
it is.
Okay. Izala has a 12 strength Glenn.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, Izala.
Okay, so it's not terrible yet, because fortunately there is a small chance that within the ghost ship and everything before you get to Mount Pyre that Glenn can start beefing up. It's just obviously the lower you start with, the more you have to really put your hands in the hopes of CC.
Yeah, and it's a good point to mention that as characters do not get strength, their chance of getting strength increases by a couple. 10 magic Lena. Dealing with some rough stats. So hopefully it gets up to the par. But
when we mentioned this race wasn't over, this is kind of why, because like not only with like some of the RNG is going to come up in a minute in the next section, but because of Izala having the lead because of guard skip and a good manner and stuff like that, if PH gets a good stats here with Lena and Glenn. There's some time that can definitely be made up in Mount Pyre and the fort.
Yeah, and even though Izala's Glenn is kind of low, there's a chance that he gets some +2s to strength, so he could pop back up to manageable levels really soon. It's not, guaranteed or anything, but there is a small chance. I think it's probably like around close to 10% chance that he gets it. All right, let's see what PH's Glenn is at. So it's a little bit faster to close out the menu and put Glenn the party on the matcha naming screen. So let's see. Oh, 13 strength
13.
Glenn. Okay.
Ooh.
Well, the benefit for PH is that although his Glenn is 1 strength stronger, he also has a power glove, and that power
That's
glove will
true.
eventually go on to Glenn. Because right now,
actually-
we're still making use of Serge's strength, but after this next section of the game, the ghost ship, we kind of don't really use Serge much anymore.
11, which is actually about even. So they're almost even because that means because he has the power glove, which he'll put on Glenn. It also means he's missing a magic ring for Lena, so she's 1 less than what we actually assume for like stats and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw PH's Lena still at 11. So yeah, right now Izala and PH's Lena are equally strong because PH does not have that magic ring. So unfortunate low stats for both characters, but again, doesn't matter. It's just gonna test their judgment and versatility for some of the fights if they don't get any more stats.
Yeah, it also means on the 3 star fights that are coming up in this ghost section or this ghost ship section, they're gonna be watching pretty attentively on the stat ups because each one of these stat ups or each one of these star levels matters. Yeah, but for coming up on the ghost ship right now, we're gonna get a little bit of dialogue. We entered up on the top of it. We're gonna get kind of surrounded by Fargo and his pirates, and basically we're gonna tell him the story. Fargo's gonna say he's basically gonna test us. We're gonna get a string of 3 encounters, one of which is one of few battles on this ship that you can actually just say no, I'm not gonna do and run away, and you're fine. It just lets you skip over it. Then we're gonna come to the poly screen or the poly fight, where you're gonna kind of hope to ideally only see 1 flap total because Polly can murder people.
Yeah, story-wise, Glenn and crew, or Serge and crew, are trying to make their way to Fort Dragonia. And the way to get to Fort Dragonia is to go through Mount Pyre. And the way to get to Mount Pyre is to go through this fog, which is surrounding the sea. So they just run into the ship by accident. I don't know why they board it. Maybe it's like
That's a good
blocking
question.
the way. I don't know, but
Perhaps they were bored.
yeah, probably. But yeah, we're introduced to Fargo. He has a beef with Lynx and General Viper, because I think General Viper murdered his wife. But he just wants to test us, so he sends out these ghostly-looking armor creatures, and we surprise him by just running away, because we don't have to fight this encounter at all. And as Handy mentioned, we're going to fight instead Fargo's parrot, which is Polly. That's a pretty, can be a pretty random boss that can be dangerous. We'll
I
see
would
how it goes
say-
for both of them.
For both of them, especially since they have low magic Lenas, this is one of those fights you definitely want to see. You don't want, if you're wondering if the fight's going to be okay or not, like you really don't want to see Flap before Lena does Ice Blast. They're going to put 2 more blues on the field, which is why we see Izala using turn blue on Serge, and then following, we're going to see Ice Blast on Polly. That's going to make the Flap do less damage, and because the red hasn't come from Flap yet, it's going to make the Ice Blast do more damage. Ooh, good AP start from Izala.
Really good AP
Really
start.
good AP. Yeah.
This is one battle where Lena's hit points actually matter. Because if the flap hits her, if she has really low hit points, then she might actually die from it. So,
Right.
Yeah, you kind of hope that Lena has 100 and at
Oh.
least 100. Oh, nice crit. At least 110 HP. So I didn't see PH's HP value for Lena, but Izala's Lena at 105 is a little bit low. but she should be fine, and luckily she didn't get hit, so turned out for the best. Nice level up. That was pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, so PH starting the poly fight, but Izala's heading to the last fight of this series of fights, Fargo himself. On this fight, basically the idea is we're just going to do a certain amount of damage before we decide to X-Strike, post-strengthen from Fargo. But this fight is actually usually pretty standard, I would say.
Yeah, the worst thing that can happen, well, there are two bad things, but the worst thing generally for the run is that Fargo gets an early turn, so the combat might go on for one extra round. If you have really bad misses and really bad stats, you can get hit with a carnivore from Fargo, though I've never seen it, but I've heard rumors about how bad it can be. The PH screen got hit with an early flap, but luckily did not hit Lena. We're going to set off the Ice Blast here. Yeah.
Also, I guess it's somewhat good to mention, the Fargo fight, and like for us doing X-Strike, you can actually do it a little bit earlier, the higher your combined strength is. So PH having more strength with both Glenn and Serge could make the fight a little bit faster for him.
Yeah, you try to hope that both characters have about 15, or at least like a sum of 30. But both of them are a little bit low, because their Glenn's unfortunately pretty weak.
Right.
So PH got through the poly fight. It looked like it was almost rough, but got through with no deaths, and he's all finished off Fargo, so...
Right, and Izala finishing, like you said, Fargo, and now coming up as PH is starting the Fargo fight, is actually like the biggest, probably core RNG part of the run, coming up for Izala. So essentially what we're seeing on Izala's screen is Fargo lost, but he still tranquilized everybody. So we're gonna get locked down underneath the ship, and then long story short, the ship is gonna get attacked by ghosts, and we're gonna try to figure out how to get out of the bottom of the ship, which is locked. And to do so, we have to find the key to the door that we need. Unfortunately, who has the key is purely RNG, and for every one of the people that we have to check, we have to actually do an extra fight. So obviously, they're both gonna have to do the first fight to check the first guy. If he doesn't have it, you have to check the second guy, but to do that you have to fight another fight, and same thing for the third guy. What that ends up doing is if someone gets first key and someone gets third key, you're probably losing. You're probably gonna see like at best like a minute 45 to like 2 minutes.
Looks like PH is getting a really good Fargo fight. Very little misses, so that'll help. But yeah, as you mentioned, Handy, whoever gets the key, we'll see either Izala will maintain his lead, or he's gonna possibly lose it, or PH will catch up and they'll be neck and neck. I think for that to happen, Izala would need to get second key, and PH would get first key.
Right.
But we'll see.
First, they have to do the little maneuver called the ghost dance, where essentially you want to dodge this ghost. Well, first of all, you have to go up and talk to this door. If you don't talk to the door, then the key won't be in place, and it will be all messed up because it won't even start then. So you have to talk to the door. So then we have to go to the person that's supposed to be on key duty. And to get to him, we have to get through this door that's coming up. There we go. I'm on Izala's screen. Okay, there it is. Now we have to talk to this guy. Talk to the guy. Okay, good. Now we have to wait till he gets finished with that and then talk to him again, or he won't move out of our way. Now we finally moved out of our way. And all the time we have to dodge this wraith thing that's chasing us. We have to talk to this guy, and we have to wait till he finishes his whole conversation before we can finally go back and then start our key quest.
Yep. So that was a clean ghost dance from Izala.
Yeah, he's always making it look easy, but he was opening some doors, and believe it or not, doors are very challenging to open in Chrono Cross, at least opening it quickly. And in this level, the ghost ship, the doors are especially difficult to open quickly. But Izala is a very experienced runner, so no trouble there. Sword dance on Serge. Uh-oh. This does a lot of damage to Serge. Luckily, there's only one of the crossbones in this fight, so Izala's not in any danger of Serge getting knocked out.
Right. Yeah, the main hindrance of the sword dance, besides just it being a slow animation, is it puts a black on the field, which makes Serge do less damage as well. But Izala finishing the fight pretty easily. And on PH's screen, as we see if Izala's gonna get first key, is PH is heading to do the ghost dance. So we're gonna see if both of them are successful in the tasks at hand.
No
He did
first
not
key
get
for
first
Izala.
key. Okay. Yeah, so we do that fight in particular. You could do the or check the key locations in any order you want, but Izala and PH will check the first location that they did first. Yeah, four enemy encounters awful, so don't want to take that. It's slow and kind of dangerous, so best to run away.
PH did get the ghost dance, so actually, if PH gets first key here, this could be a tight race.
Yeah, so by checking this location, they opened up a chest that contains some panacea, which will be
Nice.
useful, more so in any percent, but it's more of a backup here. So that's why they picked that guy first.
That PH got on that skeleton thing and just killed him off. Oh man, a beautiful first fight. PH there.
Yep. Yeah. Thankfully, PH's Surge is much more powerful than Izala's, so he is going to have an easier time taking out these enemies. Assuming he hits, which he did very well in this first fight. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh, okay. He's
Wait,
going
oh,
for
he's
third
going
key.
for the... Interesting.
Alright,
Okay,
P-
so what PH is doing... Oh, if you want to
Yo,
explain...
you go ahead,
you can.
Handy. You can explain it.
Okay, yeah, so this is actually... He's going down to the what we consider third guy. This is usually the third person you check. The other one is where you see Izala at. So PH is banking on the fact that he's not going to travel back and upstairs. Because if this guy doesn't have the key, that means not only did he, take a chance by coming down here to check this guy instead of going to where the key is actually, he's going to have to do the travel time going back up the stairs, up the ladder, going to the door, and then all the way back down.
Yes, we saw on Izala's screen he did not get the key in the second location. So they are in fact in the same location right now, but PH is one fight ahead. So if PH does get the key here, he will be ahead by a few seconds.
I will say, so I know that PH actually doesn't keep up with where his opponent's at. He likes to, just not know and play the race how he would normally. So what that tells me though, with him doing that, is he feels that he hasn't had a great start here, and so he's taking a little bit of risk here.
Got it.
And
Oh, the key paid off. PH
oh,
with the risk.
so PH
Very
actually
nice.
takes the lead with that.
Yeah, PH slightly ahead now.
So they both got technically third keyed, but PH took the risk. Check the third guy second. Interesting. Yeah, so now the big thing is are they going to both have clean escapes from the ghost ship?
Guess PH being cynical paid off there.
And luckily, all the enemies in the ghost ship spawn in precise locations, except these two deadbeats that PH just nicely passed by. Their movement is random, but everything else we can account for and with good movement avoid. See how Izala handles those two deadbeats. Alright, good enough. So,
Yep, got through. Anytime you have an encounterless escape, you feel pretty good.
yeah. So PH is going to encounter this third required, in parentheses, required fight, but in fact you just run away.
So
Yeah.
we know for sure now that Izala is not probably going to pick up the diminish and is not going... so money issues are definitely not going to be a thing, which they wouldn't have been anyways because of getting third key. But he skipped over picking up the photon beam chest.
But PH did pick it up. I know PH mentioned that if he has a decent time, he will try to continue into any percent later, but we'll see what happens. It's not over yet.
It's not over yet. But on PH's screen, now in the lead actually is going to head towards the last boss on this ship. We're going to fight an enemy called Deadhead. And this fight's usually also pretty routine as long as no major misses, you have decent stats, etc., etc.
Yeah, speaking of missing, this is the part of the game where we kind of turn that around. Everything up to this point, we had to rely blindly on hit luck and things like that, but we bought an element called Eagle Eye in Marbule, and that increases our hit percentage to, it's a buff spell that increases the hit percentage to a character to 99%. So now we don't have to worry about missing as much, but they still have to hit their initial attacks, and that's what Andy was mentioning. So Gwen hit one, but sometimes he misses 2 or 3 times in a row, and it's awful, but they shouldn't have that bad of luck. Neither the runner should.
And the key word there that Corp actually mentioned is as much. And he mentioned that it does go to 99%. And the thing is in Chrono Cross, that is a true 99%. You can and most likely will at least once or twice in a full run miss 99%.
Yeah, you just hope it's not in a very critical location. Most of those are in any percent at the end of the game. At this point, if they miss a 99%, it'll probably just prolong the fight by 30 seconds or more, which can turn the tide for this race.
We also see
we get to use a strategy that's a staple kind of Final Fantasy type strategy, where undead creatures can be damaged with cure spells. And we're actually using Luna's Cure Plus on this deadhead.
Yep.
Yeah, and on average, Lena will do about 100 damage or more to Deathhead with that Cure Plus. Oh, Izala got a crit with Serge. That's nice. Yeah, PH's Serge is really, really strong, but Izala's is not. So that crit is going to play in Izala's favor. But
I wonder.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wonder if PH is going to end up seeing Dark Breath. He had to do extra attacks right there to get Lena because she missed on her first one to do another cure. So Glenn also missed. Oh no, he didn't. He had enough strength.
Nope, we got it.
Yeah.
Pulled through. Yeah, his Surge is at 18 strength. So, but those misses could have come into play. He might have been like 1 or 2 HP in the clear.
Yeah, 18 you're usually pretty set. 19 is really high. Honestly though, unfortunately, 19 is the only great stat on his team.
Yeah.
Because Glenn is at like 14 right now, and I think Lena was at 12, if I saw correctly.
Yeah, I miss Lena, but yeah, at this point of the game, Serge is not going to be much help. He's going to help us set up with like strength and an Eagle Eye, but his strength doesn't really affect the rest of this run or this category.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I just saw Izala only have a 10 magic Lena.
Yeah,
Is that
still at 10 magic Lena for
Yeah.
Izala.
Oh, that is.
That's the unfortunate thing is that like Izala's got just as bad stats on Glenn and Lena as PH does, but he doesn't even have the slight advantage of having a good Surge either.
We see PH is going to purchase Diminish and Magnify. For this category, you only need Magnify, and it's a decision up to the runner to purchase the Diminish for like equipping purposes, because it helps make a menu a little bit faster later on. But the Diminish, if you buy it you need it for any percent, because it's just such a useful item. So PH still might go for an any percent run afterward. We'll see. But
Yeah.
they made it to Mount Pyre, and we're about to come up on the final tutorial fight for this game. It's probably everybody's favorite salt and pepper encounter. So get your W's ready in chat.
Everyone better be preparing the W.
This tutorial is about trap elements, and you will see Salt say, "Hey, I got this trap element that traps powerful magic." And so they go through this whole thing. Let's see. Well, first menuing. So hold off on the explanation till the fight actually starts here. The menu. He's menuing for I think all of Mount Pyre. You've menu here.
You do one more menu after the salt and pepper fight, and potentially one more after the fire dragon fight. But all the element menuing for Mount Pyre is done here.
But these menus can make or break a run too. So, all right. So now we're gonna go to the salt and pepper fight, and Salt is gonna have this trap element that traps powerful magic. And so,
Yeah, these two runners are very experienced with this game. Both have top 10 times in any percent, and I think Lynx 2% as well. So their menuing skills are very comparable. So so they shouldn't lose much time having to set things up.
Right.
Assault casts this big, powerful trap element. Ooh, look at this! I got this trap element. And Pepper's like, ooh, use it, use it. So he's going to do a demonstration here. And so he's going to cast the trap element. The trap element will trap the spell that is cast. So he casts it on Pepper, and now Pepper is going to use his strong element here, the black hole. Very strong black element. But, of course, Salt trapped it in the trap. And so now Salt has the black element. The problem is that you cannot use a trapped element until after the battle you're in. You have to re-equip it. Whoops.
So yeah, Salt cannot believe. So Pepper cannot believe Salt's stupidity. So
W's.
yes.
W's.
What? What did you just say? Don't hit me.
Just had it.
So Pepper has had enough and just decides to lay the beat down on Salt, which
And
helps us
funnily
out in
enough-
this fight.
Yeah, but funnily enough, that actually does help us, and Pepper can crit there, which actually ends up helping a good amount, especially if you have a low strength Glenn.
Yeah, normally you'd be in this fight with 17 or 18 strength on Glenn. The fact that both of our runners have like less than 15 is phenomenal. But so that extra damage from Pepper added. Oh, nice crit for PH there.
Need that, yeah.
There he goes, hits him again. That's so lucky. So throughout the fight, Pepper can just keep wailing on Salt. It's not guaranteed, but that first 3 hits are guaranteed to go off.
Lena's low magic on these things. They might have been be wasting turns there with her magic because they have to try to use Bush Basher on Pepper.
Well, the Bush Basher also put the green on the field, which helps out Glenn's strength.
Yeah, thankfully for on PH's side, he got that early crit, so we didn't have to see an extra turn from Salt. But on Izala's side, we're going to see the extra turn here. There's a good chance this won't knock out. Yep. Normally the fight ends on that 3-3 from Glenn, so he's going to have to choose how he wants to handle this. Aqua Beam from Lena. Interesting.
Interesting, yeah. I guess he didn't want to deal with the... Oh, she's so weak that... yeah, unfortunately, if he just would have went to the Dashing Gash, this would have probably killed outright. But sometimes you just kind of have to make plays on the fly, and if the Aqua Beam would have killed, it actually would have been probably faster than having
There's
to
a
get to the Dashing Gash.
99% miss.
Ooh.
It gave Pepper an extra turn.
Oh! Wait, PH has got both double rare drop.
Wait, I missed it. So we got the Dragoon Gauntlet and the Magic Ring. I mean, the
And the Sky Gen.
Gaijin Ring. Wow.
All of his problems have just been answered.
Wow, okay. So yeah, so from now on, PH is not going to struggle nearly as much because that Dragoon Gauntlet is going to essentially give Glenn a +3 to his strength. So he's at 16 now, so it's as if he's at 19 when it's equipped. And the Skygen Ring will give Lena a +2 to magic, and he didn't even have a single magic ring for her, so she's at 12, so she'll be at 14 with that Skygen Ring.
Right now, I bet that PH is very happy that he bought the Diminish and picked up the Photon Beam.
Yes. And Izala getting the common drops, which are still very good for the run. They're very good defensive items, especially for this upcoming fight, the Fire Dragon. So we might see PH struggle with this fight depending on what kind of luck who the Fire Dragon chooses to hit. Izala will be in a much better position just to get through the fight.
As PH starts this fight, I do want to mention, just so we know, that's a 10% for each one of those drops that PH just got. So it's not uncommon for Izala not to get any of them. It's just really lucky that PH did pick them up. Oh, an opening miss on the Fire Dragon, but it looks like he got a decent AP.
He still might get the really good AP start here. He did. Very good.
You actually really need that, because even though he got the Eagle Eye off before Fire Dragon went, it meant he used one more stamina from Serge early, so getting that 3-3 after refreshing is going to help him out a lot.
Yeah, this fight is pretty dangerous in the run, especially with low stats, because the Fire Dragon is going to use a Fiery Breath attack, which does a lot of damage. It usually knocks out Lena when she has low HP. And if you don't defeat the Fire Dragon quickly enough, he'll just keep wailing on you. And he's one of the fastest enemies in the game. At 6 AP, he can only get off 6 action points.
Is
before
that
he gets a
Lena?
turn to attack.
It is. She's dead.
So he could risk the revive, which is not a bad play, or just try to get through the fight without her. But better to revive her and try to do his best.
Yeah, I think he definitely wants the Ice Blast damage, especially since she has the Skygen on now.
Yes. And this fight, as well as many others, Serge actually comes into play with chip damage. He'll do like an Aqua Beam or Aqua Ball attack, and that can make quite a bit of difference depending on what Serge's magic is at. Normally he's floating around like 11 or 12 by this point. I have not been tracking his magic for both runners here, but I imagine it's not very much.
So he is magnifying the field. I don't know exactly where Fire Dragon's at in terms of health, but if this Ice Blast doesn't kill, it can get a little bit dangerous, because I believe Fiery Breath is coming next with the magnified field. Okay, no, he has one more physical attack, but not good stamina refresh.
Oh, and a miss. Uh-oh.
I think he's
Okay.
gonna Aqua... Yeah.
So the 2-3 from Glenn should knock out the dragon if it hits.
I think so.
Oh,
Alright,
nice.
lucky
Oh.
for PH.
Woo!
Jeez. Good fight. Coming off of a bad situation.
Oh,
Oh,
Fiery
no.
Breath targeting Glenn for Izala, knocking him out.
Knocking out Glenn.
As we said before, this fight can be very dangerous in the run. You just have to prepare for the worst.
I do like that Izala like waited till this turn. He waited for, or unless he already revived and I missed it. Unless he just decided not to.
No, he hasn't revived.
Yeah, Serge should have the revive here, but depending on what Izala did for menuing,
Oh, that's
maybe he
true.
kept it on Glenn at this point.
Yeah, maybe I think if he's using Carbon Strat, I don't remember. I don't want to put words in or say what Carbon Strats say to do. But I think I do remember. Maybe they used to put it on Glenn, or they do put it on Glenn.
It should be on Glenn by this point. At least that's what I do. I'm sorry, it should be on Serge, I meant to say. Yeah,
Right.
so Izala did it. He was waiting
Oh,
for a
okay,
better
okay.
opportunity.
Yeah, so that's my mistake. I couldn't remember if it was a strat thing where like they put it on a different person or.
Meanwhile, PH has gone on into the 3 Divas fight, or Devas fight. Is it Divas or Devas?
Deva.
Ava. Okay.
So in the Davis fight, the goal is to strengthen up Glenn and to take out Marcy as quickly as possible. She's the fastest enemy in this fight. She normally gets 2 turns off, but if she keeps getting turns, she'll use an element called String Foam, which
Yeah.
he's all struggling. Okay,
Yeah,
got
no,
through
this
the fight.
we were seeing the dangerousness of the Fire Dragon. If this fight extends longer than what it really needs to, that fight can go downhill very, 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 very quickly.
Yeah, so on PH's screen, after you take out Marcy, next target is Zoa. Zoa has an attack called Geronimo, which is a yellow element attack which would weaken Glenn's attack power, and it's just a slow animation you want to avoid. So with this Eagle Eye and Bush Basher, whoop, there goes the Geronimo. I guess he got an early roll there.
It's on Lena. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big thing is it just, one, you have to see Geronimo and it takes a little bit of time, and 2, it puts a yellow on the field in it, so it'll lower your damage as Glenn.
So next, I'm sure PH is going to do these strats where he turns Glenn blue, and then Lena will use an Ice Blast. Kind of how the strat has evolved over time.
Yep. So it just kind of goes to show you how important like turn colors and field effect are. So we use, we put green on the field early with Eagle Eye and everything like that, so that we could kill Zoa with Glenn, and then we immediately turn him blue, and then we use an Ice Blast, not only for the damage from the Ice Blast, but because it puts another blue on the field. So we're constantly taking advantage of field effect.
PH got lucky there. Lena could have very easily gotten knocked out, but Karsh went for Serge instead. Alright. Good fight for PH.
That Aqua Beam only did 30 at with 2 blues in the field, so I'm curious to see what Surge's magic is for him.
12.
Yeah, 12 now.
Yeah, that's pretty low. Maybe like before you enter this Mount Pyre, you hope Serge is at 12 at this point. So, a struggle for both runners, I think.
These low stats are really changing up the strategy and extending these fights well beyond what they normally would be.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
Izala's screen, he already went for the X strike on Marcy, but it did not do enough damage.
Did
So
we see
now he's got to
if,
do extra turns to take her out.
Did we see if Izala on the opening turns, like whenever they're building for extract, did he apply that damage to Marcy and it still didn't kill?
Yeah, I missed it, but I know that Marcy was in critical HP, and he had Lena go for the hits against her, and it still wasn't enough. Very unfortunate, but yeah, that's just how it goes in this game. You deal with this, you make use of the stats that you're given, and you do your best with whatever bad situation.
Poor
you have to
Izala
deal
has just missed 3 ones, so he could not get the Eagle Eye off.
with. So see PH entering the entrance to Fort Dragonia. It's guarded by this Dragoon Rider. In that fight, we're going to hope that Glenn gets off the Magnify before the Dragoon Rider gets his attack off. Like PH got it, so it's a really good start from him.
Yikes. Oh no, this fight is extending for Izala. Misses plus not having great stats. We're seeing the kind of the fruits of that.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have like low stats, and it's one thing to miss. It's a whole other thing to have both.
Yes, indeed. But we've all been there. As runners go, it's like a rite of passage to just have terrible stats one run and go
Right.
through with the run.
Did she strengthen Glenn because 47 damage?
The strengthen probably wore off because of how much he's missed and how long these fights have gone.
And how weak his Glenn is, which I think he
Yeah.
said like 15.
Oh, that crit is kind of needed, but it still only did 54.
Oh, finally.
Okay, nice. Good job, Izala, for pulling through with that fight. That's not easy.
That does bring up a good point to what Doctor said about like questioning how much damage I did, because that is another thing that, besides just the length of the fight naturally going longer, you actually also have the adverse effect of the fight going even longer because of things like strengthen that we did at the beginning of the fight wearing off. So you start doing a lot less damage.
Just
like-
Dragoon, right?
Yeah, PH getting through it. I mean, all things like considered, this is still very close in terms of a race. Like they're one fight apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Fort Dragonia, in addition to just being a boss rush section, has some enemies that are kind of tricky to dodge. And we didn't bring it up earlier, but every encounter in this game that you don't want to take, that's on the overworld, costs about 20 seconds of time to run away from. And that's assuming you could run away immediately. Sometimes the enemies will get the first turn and do whatever they want to do. So, depending on how PH navigates through Fort Dragonia, he may lose his lead to Izala.
Yep, that's also true. I mean, and there's things like we're just dependent on AP rolls and like stuff like that. That in certain fights you can gain or lose 30 seconds in Fort Dragonia. So
Yeah,
still
PH
plenty of time.
He might decide to go for a Cybot skip and fail it, for example.
I'm curious to see if PH is gonna try to skip this bat. If you have good movement and you can tell if the bat spawned like in a good location, you can. Okay, he's not. You can actually get in front of it.
Yeah. I always play it safe with that bat because I feel it's not worth it. I'd rather go for a Cybot skip than try to risk that bat. But I understand why runners do go for it because it is a nice little time save.
Well, so like if you look for it and you're like good at reacting, it's not even a risk because like if you're running up and you have good movement, you can react to where the bat is and either stop or go.
We've seen on Izala's screen the Dragoon Rider used an attack called Acacia Breath, and that normally burns somebody. Looks like on PH's screen, nobody got burned in that fight, but I did see the... Oh, never mind. It just didn't show up yet. So that burn can come into play with one of the boss fights coming up, Taurusoid, because when a character is burned, they're more susceptible to taking damage. So if it's on the wrong person, it could complicate things for that fight.
Yeah, and we're seeing PH do the puzzle for the first pillar, while Izala's taking on the Dragoon.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Izala, all his stats are just so bad that the Dragoon Rider is still alive. This can get very dangerous. The Dragoon Rider has an attack, Lunge. It's a red element attack that does over 200 damage. There
Ooh,
goes.
just mentioning.
Yikes. So I think in this scenario, like because of the high defense of the Dragoon, ooh, and that's really bad. Even if you're not using like a blue element there, I think you just want to use an element to try to finish off because like yeah, they're not doing very much damage at all. I think try Bush Basher is the idea.
It's like he chose not to heal Glenn, or maybe he used a revive earlier and I missed it. But yeah, that Dragoon Rider fight can be a problem with low stats.
Yeah, getting lunged with the Magnify in the field, which is going to be a common theme. Like when if fights extend and you've already magnified the field, the Magnify doesn't only apply to your party. You start taking a lot of damage from hits from bosses and enemies.
Yeah, hopefully Izala will have enough tablets. So after every fight, if people have stamina built up in the fight, they can heal with things like Cure Plus and Heal All. But not every fight ends with the characters having stamina. So in that case, we use Heal with Consumables as an option. And that uses things like tablets and capsules to heal up. Izala bought 41 tablets. And because Glenn was knocked out in that fight, he had to use extra tablets to heal him up. So it may come to pass that he runs out of tablets before the end of the Fort Dragonia section, so he might have some struggles.
Did he buy Heal All? Because some people I don't buy Heal All. I didn't know if like he bought it or not.
I didn't pay attention. I just buy it by habit for my own runs.
If he has Heal All, it becomes a little bit risky. Not in terms of like not dying. It does take time, obviously, because there are scenarios where you'll have to walk up, do it like an attack or whatever, so you can get the element built up and then heal. So it's very slow, but at least hopefully he potentially has the heal.
We saw PH navigate this room with the bat and the chests pretty skillfully. Just a puzzle where depending on what chest you open, it changes the bridge. It moves the bridge around to get to the platform you need to get to. So PH enters the giant group fight. Izala is finishing up the party order fight. Party order puzzle. Yeah,
it is a fight, though. It is
a fight. You're right.
So I think even with the Skyjin, it looked like PH is doing the non-15 strength strat that 15 magic strat that we have. So that means even with the Skyjin, the +1, and it is +2, but since he's also missing magic ring, he's only +1. He's still below 15.
Yeah, generally you want Lena to be at 15 magic by this point. Izala, unfortunately, his Lena is very weak, so he's going to have to do this backup as well. PH had a chance to come up ahead, but yeah, we use a turn red on Giant Gloop. And after that Dragoon Rider fight, we got an element drop, the Frog Prince Summon. And we didn't really talk about it much, but essentially, in all the fights going forward, except the last two in Fort Dragonia, we're going to have the party set up a blue field. So if you see in the upper left corner, those rings that are colored, we want to make all the rings blue, and then we'll be able to have Lena use a summon called a Frog Prince. And normally, Frog Prince does anywhere from like 500 damage to over 1,000, depending on Lena's stats and the enemies we're facing. But if you don't have the necessary stats, you have to do backups where you turn him red, so that will make him more susceptible to blue element attacks, and that way we'll be able to hit the proper damage for Frog Prince. So for Giant Gloop, it should be like 520 or more damage.
Yeah, luckily the Giant Gloop, in worst case scenarios, also uses blue elements. So this is almost like weirdly enough, it's almost like an entry level boss to the fort in the way that in the Frog Prince strats that we do. Whereas the next fight that we're gonna see from PH is going to be a fight where we don't have the luxury of, oh, it's okay if the boss interrupts. They'll just, help our field color, because Taurusoid will be doing green elements, and it is a very big hindrance if you get interrupted in between filling the field blue and doing Frog Prince.
Yeah, Giant Gloop is our friend. Like, he helps us out so much in the fight. If you don't have the means of setting up a blue field, he'll use a blue field element itself. And even if you don't finish him off with the Frog Prince, his next action is to cure your party with a Cure Plus. He's a
That's
friend.
true.
Taurusoid is a jerk. He is not our friend. We hope he could be our friend, but
Yeah, no. So Taurusoid, like, depending on if people are using the Cure Strat or not, Taurusoid can be very mean in that before we even start setting up the field blue, the 2 turns to set up before that means we have to see 2 turns from Taurusoid, and if he targets the same person twice and it's not Glenn, it can be very dangerous.
yeah, as Handy mentioned, Taurusoids attack our green element, and Glenn naturally resists those attacks. So he's the optimal target to hit, because normally Glenn will be over 200 HP, which will give him enough HP to survive 2 hits from... Oh, is PH going for a Cybot skip? Is he?
I think everybody pretends like they do, and then everybody bails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this Cybot skip, if you run up in the corner and have a certain pixel alignment, that Cybot that was just walking by will ignore you while you're in that corner. It saves about 8 to 10 seconds, but if you get hit by the Cybot, you lose about 1.5 minutes of time, depending on how long it takes you to fight that Cybot.
Right, because if you try to go for the Cybot skip, the problem is you put yourself in a corner, and it's not like a fight that if you fail it, you hit him and you run away. You have to take the fight to get out of it.
Exactly. Dine mentioning that Hobbs did get the Cybot skip yesterday, and I think that was the first one of the tournament. First actual attempt of Cybot skip, and it worked out all right.
Yeah, it apparently can be consistent if you really get it down and you can see the pixel that you're trying to go for, etc., etc. Hobbs, I think Hobbs is pretty consistent at it. He says that he thinks he's pretty confident at it. Most people just still decide not to go for it, just because, like Corp was saying, it's 8 to 10 seconds you're putting up like to grab, but you're saying if I fail it, I'm willing to lose 2 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. So we saw PH navigating around these paperboy enemies that rolled up and turned invisible. They are one of the more tricky enemies in the game to dodge. So PH navigating without getting an encounter was really good, really skillful. So you expect to hit at least one of them in this place, as I do.
Okay, so
Alright,
bad
body
start
press.
from PH, but body pressing on Serge.
Yeah.
PH does use the Cure Strat, so I imagine that's what he's going to do here.
Yeah, it's okay if Taurusoid hits Serge, but you want Serge to have like about 150 HP, just to be safe. That's at least the targets I look for. So his Serge is not very bulky, so he should opt for the Cure to play it safe.
The only issue that could potentially come from it is that he also got the bad start where he only got Lena to level 3 instead of level 5 and had to do a Cure, so he's really going to be... Yeah, okay, he's walking up with Lena. Yeah, I was wondering how he's going to play this.
Yeah, it's still going to be tricky dealing with the AP here. Stamina with Lena. 'Cause, he didn't use Genius.
He did not use Genius, and I'm wondering if
Yeah.
he's opting to not do it because he's like, it's just going to be too... Okay, so he's done 3 AP, 4 AP, if I counted right. So he's trying to beat 11. And watch his stamina. Yeah, so he's just... Okay, I think he's not expecting to kill this Frog Prince. I think the idea is that he's just saying, I'd rather just get the Frog Prince off.
Right. I think that's the correct play with the stamina he had. Yeah, I think...
Oh, wait.
Okay,
Okay, he's gonna defend. He's gonna defend. Yeah. Okay.
Should be fine. As long as Lena didn't miss, it would be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Meanwhile,
Nice.
Izala had
Good
such
play.
a bad goo fight that his Frog Prince didn't kill. He ended up getting Ice Lance from the goo.
Yeah, I guess the attacks that Giant would give you, whether it's a Cure Plus or an Ice Lance, is random. 698 damage is low.
It's very low. Yeah, and I don't think that PH expected to kill, like we were mentioning. I think PH took a calculated loss there, and instead of running from the Taurusoid fight, he opted to at least make sure he got the key component of getting Frog Prince off.
Right. So his main task was accomplished, because that, although it was low damage, it's still several hundred damage that he did to Torsoid. So now he's either gonna heal up Lena to get the level, or he's just gonna finish off Torsoid with element attacks.
It looks like he's not going to revive, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good call, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. When you're pressed for time for a race, sometimes it's best just to leave behind a party member that where spending the extra like 15 seconds to revive them is just not worth it. So
The only issue is now, because Lena didn't get that. Well, I think so. If he would have got the magic up from Lena in that fight, she would have been at 14. And since he's only technically +1 because he's missing a magic ring, but has a Skyjin, he'd be at 15. And at 15 on Son of a Gun, to not get Kissy Wissied, it becomes not only down to the AP, but at 15 it becomes down to a damage roll variance. You can either not kill or kill with Frog Prince. But at 14, which is what he's technically at now, it won't kill.
yeah, so we saw Izala also skillfully dodge the Paperboy enemies. He's getting ready for the Torsoid fight. It's going to be just as difficult, if not more difficult for Izala because of stats. But Izala might get a really good start where he might not have to heal with Lena at all. He could just, if Glenn gets hit, he should be able to just set up and then potentially make up a few seconds off of PH.
Okay, good start so far. Oh yeah, Izala does do. So, funnily enough, both these runners are doing different strats here, so we get to see a different variation of the fight. Izala doing turn red.
So Izala started with a Serge that was already weakened. I think he was running out of tablets and chose not to heal him. So he's gotta pray now. He's gonna pray that Torsoid hits Glenn, because both Lena and Serge will get knocked out at this point. Or
Well, you think that Serge will take 190?
Serge is, wait, why? Oh, I'm sorry. On my screen it looks like 100 damage, not 190.
Oh, okay.
I
I see.
apologize, everybody. I thought he was at 100. Oh man.
I was like, oh wow, I haven't been hit by it like after. I guess I was thinking maybe post magnify. That's why I was just wondering.
So, thankfully, Izala was able to get a bit more of a lead. He did not have to heal up. I don't think he was even planning on it. So this fight should go a little bit more
Smoother.
quickly. Still gonna have trouble finishing off Torsoid with his Frog Prince, because his Lena is not strong at all. But he's in a little bit better position than PH, I think.
Yeah, they both. I mean, it might end up being the case that both of them have to do an attack after Frog Prince. But we'll see.
Yeah, but the difference is that Izala didn't have to set up a heal, so
That's
just
true.
that little bit of time might come into play. But
Yeah, and as we see if Frog Prince is going to kill on Izala's screen, PH is actually entering in the Son of a Gun fight, where, like I said, I don't think it'll matter depending on the AP, because PH probably won't kill Frog Prince regardless. But the good start here is if Serge can get this 1-1 off and then go to Lena. Oh, his Lena's not healed. Oh, he's just going to go for it.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
paid off for PH.
Yeah, because he'll at least get the Frog Prince off. That's the main point. Even if
Yeah.
he doesn't kill. Oh, I wonder if he's gonna, instead of, because he's turned blue Lena. Oh no,
Yeah,
okay,
you
okay, I
can.
see what he's gonna do.
Yeah, that's what I do.
He just wants the extra damage, so he is trying to kill this way. Because instead of doing double turn blue, he's doing an Aqua Beam here, and now he's gonna do an Aqua Ball with. It just does 1 damage, so he's like really hoping, I guess.
Yeah, unless Serge has a really high magic value, he's not going to do much more than 1 damage. But thankfully, the single attacks, like the ones from Glenn and Lena, they do like 6 or 7 damage each. So it's not a bad play to set up the fight so that after the Frog Prince goes off, one of them has at least 1 stamina to hit.
Yeah.
I think had to work with what he was given, so he was.
I mean, at
unable
that
to-
14, at that effective 14 magic. Oh, good, in case he was missed. That Frog Prince only did 334, so he still has probably about like 28 damage or so that he needs to do.
Yep, there you go.
already did it. There you go.
Yeah, that's 18. Okay, so it was even less than what I thought, but
Yeah, so the Son of a Gun, in addition to being a creepy boss, only has 383 HP, which is pretty low, but Son of a Gun's defenses are very high. So that Frog Prince did over 300 damage, but with a decent magic Lina, it usually does like 350 or more, and that's usually enough to knock him out. But decent fight from PH.
PH took another risk there, but it also played. It worked out. Like the biggest risk was that Son of a Gun was going to get that first turn regardless, and it was just kind of a one-on-3 roll of whether or not he was going to tap Lina. Because I imagine if he would have done that, he would have had to run.
Yeah. So Izala might be able to catch up. If Izala sets up a little bit more on Son of a Gun, he'll be able to save about 25-30 seconds off of PH. Because he'll be able to skip the Kissy Wissy and mode change animations. But that depends if Izala gets a good start like PH got on Son of a Gun. Still has to deal enough damage and he's still very low, but there's a chance that he gets a high roll. So we didn't really talk about that, but the damage in this game varies a little bit, whether you're using melee or element attacks. And on Frog Prince, which is a summon with a lot of damage, you can have a variance of like anywhere from like 10 damage to over 100, depending what your magic level's at. Alright, PH is dodging the guard. Oh, ran into the stairwell guard. One of the trickier enemies to dodge in the game.
Yeah, you can either hope, it looks like PH thought that he had the right, spawn location. Depending on where that Dragoon spawns, you can get a quick setup where well, it's not even really a setup, you just kind of run past him. But every other place, you kind of need to do a setup to where you kind of lure the guard down the stairs and then circle around him.
Yeah, it's not easy to do, but there is a setup. In the past, it used to be just get lucky and hope you don't hit him. But after analyzing how the guard moves and where he's positioned, you can, as Handy said, lure him around and just run around him before the encounter. Okay, so Izala is going for the turn red strat on Son of a Gun. This is something I've never done before, but it should pay off because he got the good start.
I don't know his Lina's magic. I missed when you said it, but was he not able to potentially kill regardless before seeing Kissy Wissy, or?
Yeah, I think he, at best, his Lina's at 14, but I think I called at 13 recently.
Okay, so yeah, 14 definitely probably needs to do the turn red. That way he's making sure that he can kill with Frog Prince.
Yeah, so he's not going to be able to make up that time. But PH is dealing with Bunya, which is a red element boss that turns into a black element boss. So in this fight, we want to set up Lina to have Genius and Magnify, and this Ice Blast will usually do 360 or more damage. Okay. And that sends him into phase 2.
Interestingly enough...
Go ahead, Andy. No, you
I was going to say, interestingly enough, in this phase, how most bosses can't zero roll you, the second boss here is actually technically still rolling AP in the background.
Speaking of...
You know what, PH? That's on me. That's on me. It was for the explanation's sake. But, so that boss can zero roll you just because his AP is already rolling in the background.
Okay, so this is a pretty big risk from PH. So what he has to do is not miss from Lina or Glenn, because Bunyip has 10 AP, I think. And at this point, if he gets an immediate roll, which he did, any misses will push Bunyip over the edge, potentially, and he won't be able to get off this Frog Prince. It looks like so far he's doing well, and that's the important thing in this fight, is to get the Frog Prince off. Well, okay, that's on me, PH, sorry. So the blue field was interrupted on PH's side, so he cannot set up the Frog Prince. So he could either run, or
Izala had to run as well.
Okay then. Well.
Wow, they both had to reset these fights. So actually, 0 net gain from anybody.
Izala got meteor showered there, and then ended up with fatigue on 2 characters, and that was it.
Wait, so I missed it. So wait, even with the turn red strat, the Frog Prince didn't kill?
He didn't even get the Frog Prince off.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, it's a strange strategy, and I can't say I'm very familiar with it. So
the Sun did his second phase attacks, which was a photon beam followed by a meteor shower. Oh yeah, I'd never seen that with the Son of the Gun because it's extended out so long that the sun just. first of all, Serge fell asleep on the Kissy Wissy. But then
Right.
he had another white one, and the field ended up being fully white. And then here comes the
Ooh. Serge got what is the word I'm looking for? Frozen as well.
Yeah, in that fight, Kissy Wissy normally puts somebody to sleep, so you don't even have the option of like selecting moves or defending or anything with him. Yep, he's got to run again. Oh boy.
Yeah, Son of a
Alright.
Gun can do this. He can definitely do this.
Yeah. Honestly, I would just, if it were me in my position, I would skip the turn red strat. One, I'm not familiar with it, but with the Frog Prince, you can still finish the fight. It's just, you know, 1 or 2 extra turns afterward.
Yeah.
Of hitting ones. So
I mean, I don't disagree with him going for it initially and getting the turn red, but I think at this point, like, if it's becoming an issue, I think that yes, I would probably opt what you said and just at least get the Frog Prince off, you know, and then just try to tap it in after.
yeah, it looks like that's what he's doing. So unfortunate, but that's Chrono Cross. Sometimes things do not go your way at all.
Yeah, and over on PH's side, we also see it looks like he's fully set up. I didn't see the AP, but I think he should be fine. Gonna at least get Frog Prince off here. Yeah.
You guys know what the percent chance of the Kissy Wissy missing is? Because he's had 3 Kissy Wissies and they've all hit.
I think it's much more likely to hit than not, but I don't know the exact proc rate of it now.
Yeah, me neither.
Ooh. Okay, probably gonna see Graviton now. Oh no, okay, good AP roll. PH is actually gonna get the Luminaire off. This should kill.
Izala just messed up this fight. He's turned the sun blue once.
Again. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
So this isn't going to hardly do anything.
Yeah, so there's a hidden mechanic that most casual players don't know. When you turn an enemy a color, like blue, if you turn them blue again, it cancels out the effect. So it's just a quick menuing strat to just turn someone blue and then do it again for this fight, because you save like a second
Only
of time.
244 damage.
Yeah. But you can still get through the fight. Yeah.
H Frizzle, as PH finishes the Bunyip fight. H Frizzle says in chat, I feel like I turn blue than X-Strike with Smoke Sun. The problem is the physical defense of the Sun is so high, and X-Strike counts as a physical attack.
Yeah, a good point though. Yeah, there are a lot of backup strats you can do for certain bosses depending on what it is. It just turns out that Son of a Gun is resistant to X-Strike, fortunately. PH moves on to the last 2 fights of this category.
Does Izala even realize he is... I guess he doesn't realize that he...
Well, I mean, the thing is like, even if he does realize it, at this point, like, the only option he has is either run away or try to finish the fight.
Yeah, he's just making the best of the bad situation.
Oh, he got through it!
Yeah.
Let's go.
Very good job, Izala.
Claps in chat for Izala, because Son of a Gun was not being kind. Even with some mistakes, like, it was off the back of, like, low stats and Son of a Gun kind of being unkind, not giving any kind of misses off of Kissy Wissy or anything.
Yeah, and speaking of stats, a lot of that could have been avoided if just had a little bit more magic on Lita, which on average he should have gotten, but both runners have been hit with pretty bad stats this run, so...
It's true. Oh, so Izala's gonna go and basically head to Bunyip. Also, we're gonna see if he's gonna avoid the Dragoon, whereas PH is basically done with Lina in terms of like her being the main VIP of the fights. Going into the last 2 fights for Viper and Lynx before finishing this race.
We see that flashback / premonition yet again. I mean, I don't think it can mean anything at this point. It's not like we've seen this 2 or 3 times already, but you know, maybe it has some sort of impact on the story. We'll see.
It's a mystery to all of us currently.
It is a mystery, and that blade still had ketchup on it, so shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, so this Viper fight coming up for PH is usually pretty routine. Most of the time you will see a G-Force and then the fight will end up ending after that. But if he has a high enough Glen, which I didn't actually catch, so I apologize, and he gets a good AP roll at the beginning, he can actually skip the G-Force completely and just have a really quick fight. And on
Izala
Izala's screen,
Dragoon Rider as well in the stairwell. Again, not an easy enemy to dodge.
it's not. Yeah, and even though PH is like a whole fight or so ahead right now, including like for Bunyip or whatever, honestly, they've had pretty similar runs. It's just, I would say, you know, the Son of a Gun was just being a little bit more of a troll than usual, has been the difference maker at the moment.
Yeah, for most of this run, one or the other has only been a single fight ahead of the other, and then they kind of equalized around the ghost ship afterward. But then PH got the lucky double rare drop, and so he's able to make better use of his improved stats. He's always just stuck with the bad luck.
Right. So while this fight's ending over on PH's screen, the Dragoon fight or the Viper fight, the slight worry here on Izala's screen is with Izala having bad magic, there is a small chance. Okay, he got a good start, but after this Magma Bomb, if you magnify the field and then Ice Blast doesn't end up sending Bunyip into phase 2, since you magnified the field, Bunyip's next turn, which is Inferno, can just straight wipe your party.
Yep. I have had Alina at 12 magic at this point, and with the Ice Blast, still send him into phase 2. So I think Izala
Right.
should be fine. It's when you don't have Ice Blast, when you have to use Aqua Ball instead, that's when it becomes really scary.
Really, right. Yeah, the Ice Blast, you should be good. Like Corp said, it's usually just like I feel like he'd be a little bit more worried right now if he was at this magic and had to use an Aqua Ball.
Yep. All right, PH is entering the Lynx 2 fight. After this will be time. So for this fight, we're going to buff up Glenn, give him Strength and Eagle Eye, and turn him white. And then after Lena turns Glenn white, her job is done. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Lena. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay,
Ooh.
did not hit Lena.
Yeah, the other risk though there is that he did glide hook Serge, and that actually changes the strat up a little bit. Which he might not even change it, because normally what you do if you get glide hook there as Serge is you do a defend, but it doesn't matter. If he gets targeted again as Serge, he's gonna die anyways.
Yep. Yeah, luckily, you can get through this fight without Serge. Glenn is the main attacker, but between the two of them, they usually take care of Lynx with no trouble.
Nice crit.
Oh, nice crit for PH. All right, that's going to help out a lot. So even if Serge gets knocked out, which he is, farewell, Serge. With that crit, Glenn and Lena can start using elements, and Glenn can use Sonic Sword and things like that, dash and gash, and get through the fight. All right.
Yeah, the only problem here is, okay, that green's actually gonna help Glenn at least, but it could get a little bit dangerous because like one more turn here and he could kill Lena, and then it's just gonna be a one-on-one versus Glenn and Lynx.
Yeah, this should do it here.
Well, I don't think he's even in crit stance yet. Now he is.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm saying it looks like it could get a little bit. He should be able to finish as long as no crazy misses, but it's a little bit scarier than what you would like. As also Izala finishing of the Bunyip fight. Okay, he didn't miss.
Got it.
Yep, and
GG's
that's
for
going
PH.
to be GG for PH. And
217. 15.
time 2:17:39 or so.
39. I can't see.
All right, so now we get to cheer on Izala. Izala pushing through all of the fort, honestly, like very skillfully, with having really unfortunate luck just with stats and just the bosses in general in Fort Dragonia.
Yeah, both runners were hit with some pretty bad luck as far as stat growth goes, but Izala definitely got the worst end of it.
And honestly, he still kept it fairly close. Like this, he's 2 fights away right now.
Yeah, and if he was able to take out, I mean, we could what if everything all day, but if he were able to take out Son of a Gun on the first fight, and PH had to run away from Bunyip on that race would have been a lot closer. Izala might have been able to take him.
I do believe that his Glen also wasn't very good. I don't want to confirm that or not, but so we'll probably see the G-Force in the extended version of the fight, I imagine, even in the Viper fight, and also probably going into the Lynx 2 fight.
So PH's side, his Glen was like at 20 for at least the Lynx 2 fight. With the Gauntlet, that's the equivalent of a 23, but
That's true.
still, that's low.
It is low. Yeah, even with the Gauntlet, I think that falls into the else strat. I think in our notes we have like a 27, a 24, and then an else.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious. I didn't see if PH hesitated on clearing the text boxes, but I'm wondering if PH is actually going to continue the run with.
I know he mentioned that if he had a good run, he would continue, but I'm not sure if he will continue the run. We'll find out.
It doesn't look like he is. He's kind of stopped his timer and kind of just.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So
those last couple fights just kind of did it. I mean,
yeah, he does it the Skygen and the Gauntlet, but he's probably judged it that like the use that you're gonna or the utility he's gonna get out of it, yeah, is just not gonna end up making back the time. I imagine he usually tries to land in the range of like a 212 or 213 on PB attempts or so.
Yeah, so the general Viper fight on the Izala screen, gonna strengthen up Glen, Eagle Eye Glen, and hope that General Viper doesn't get a turn in between. At Izala's strength level for Glen, he's not going to be able to skip G-Force, as Andy mentioned before. That animation is slow, does a lot of damage to Glen. But it'll at least assure that he finishes the fight in a timely manner, doesn't go into an extra round of combat. But yeah, Andy said that this fight is pretty standard, where there's not a lot of things that are unexpected that ruin the fight. But if the fight does drag on, you'll find out that General Viper is pretty powerful. But with the stats we imply here, we're able to take him out before he does any real damage to us.
Right. Yeah, if you're seeing lots of turns after G-Force, you probably are having rough places all over the place in terms of stats and things.
Taking a risk with the 3-3.
I'm worried. Cause I think I saw that he's almost running low on tablets. So
Yep.
I'm gonna hope though that he is able to heal Glen and Lena here. Oh, that fight's not over.
Yeah, he didn't do enough damage to General Viper, and Serge had an unfortunate miss.
Yeah, this
So
should be over.
Lena saved the day.
Yeah, let's
Lena
go.
bopped him on the head.
Yep, so Izala's gonna heal and then move into the final fight. Let's see if he gets the gauntlet or if he gets handy dropped. Did get the gauntlet, let's go.
Yeah, it looks like both runners had their Glens at 20 strength. Of course, with the gauntlet, PH was at a more of an advantage, but that's just low. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, both of them got low rolled on most stats across the board, except for PH's Surge early was pretty strong.
Yep, that is true. All right, the Lynx fight. Luckily, he was able to enter this fight at full HP, but again, just gonna buff up Glen with Eagle Eye, Strengthen, and Turn White, and then just let them go to town.
Yeah, Andy got a good AP start. And it doesn't look like Glide Hook is hitting. Yeah, it hit Lena. That's actually a good target for this.
Yeah, so we'll be able to see on Izala's screen kind of how the fight normally goes. PH had a unique situation that he had to deal with a little bit differently.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, what?
I was like heal all? Interesting.
Yeah. He's like, I can't have Lena die. I thought that was the strat or something.
That actually is not a bad strat. If you did run out of tablets and weren't able to heal up on General Viper afterward, you can, instead of doing the Eagle Eye, just do the heal all. You have to risk that Glen will miss his attacks, but at least everybody will be healthy. Oh, a crit from Izala too.
Nice. Slight side aside onto PH's screen. F in chat for kid. But yeah, Izala finishing up the fight. Looks like he'll probably have a much cleaner fight than what happened to have happened in PH's fight?
There's Kid's knife with ketchup still on it. She didn't clean it from all the way back in the beginning when they fought ketchup. That's why there's ketchup on the knife there.
Oh, is Lena gonna finish this fight too? No. Well, Serge got annihilated.
Well then.
And you were right. Lena did finish that fight.
Wow. Lena the hero. Anyway,
And it's
GG's
gonna be-
Izala.
Glenn
gonna be-
plus 2 strength. Wow. Oh, wait.
GG for both runners. Good race, really good race. I think this was a very good exemplification of, and even though like Son of a Gun, there's like one key fight for Izala that just kind of didn't go well, but they both kind of played really well around showing how to play with low stats. Some like pretty key cases of like PH deciding that even though Frog Prince wasn't going to kill in some cases, it was better to get the damage, tap it in after instead of like risking some really terrible things happening.
Right, so I'm not sure if anybody wants to do an interview afterward. Feel free to jump in, Izala and PH for commentary or comments.
Sure. How you guys doing?
Hey PH, GG's.
Oh,
GGPH.
GG. So
Congratulations, guys. You
Yeah, I
did
gotta
a
be
special
honest.
low strat demonstration. Low stat
Right.
demonstration. You guys did really well.
in the middle of the run, I was thinking to myself, man, this is probably over unless Izala got worse stats than I did, which would be really, really unlikely, and he would have to get really unlucky.
Everybody was terrible.
And you were really like it sounds like you just had
There is-
tremendously bad fortune.
I will
There
say
was
this,
nothing
PH,
redeeming.
yeah, where you had like a low Glenn and a low Lena, but you had like an 18 or 19 ship or Surge leaving the ship.
Yeah.
Izala had that, but his Surge was also at like 13 or 14.
Yeah. Well, and then I got double rare dropped in the Shaker fight, so I got the Gauntlet and the Skygen.
Yeah, you know how we always joke about always threes. Well, I had a whole suite of them this run. I saw 3 Flame Breaths from Fire Dragon. I saw
God.
3 Kissy Wissies.
Oh no, dude. I will say the one thing that I'm incredibly, incredibly happy that worked on a run in a race is I blitzed third key.
I'm very
I saw
proud of you for that. Just
I
want
was
you to
like,
know.
and if you could see it, I almost started to go back towards the regular second key, and I was like, you know what, screw it, and I went the other way.
I actually mentioned that you were probably doing it intentionally when you were doing it. I was like, I know that you don't actually keep up with the other runner, like whenever you're running. So I was like, I wonder if this means PH is like, okay, I think that like this is not going as well as I want it to, so I'm just gonna take the risk of going for it or not.
Yeah, I'll be totally honest. It's partially also because this is like a little bit of a different scenario than like a PB attempt or something. But it was like, it's fun. It's a good time to do something like that, and thankfully it worked out. So hopefully people got a kick out of it because it was it's definitely an unusual. I would not recommend that normally. Probably not the best idea.
I'm just glad that after pushing for that for a good 2 months now, that somebody actually did it.
Oh man, I was so I don't know. So I need to watch the VOD because I have my camera on. I was so unbelievably pumped when it worked out. I was like, pumping my fist and everything. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it was a very, very close race between the two of you. You kind of traded the leads. Izala went for the guard skip and got it, so Izala
nice.
pulled ahead. And then you, PH, managed to pull ahead after the ghost ship by just a few seconds because that gamble paid off.
Yeah, we actually both got third key.
Oh, you're kidding.
No,
Yeah.
we both did.
That's unbelievable.
Honestly,
And
though,
my-
it was kind of. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and my fights weren't good either because Surge wasn't strong enough to kill anything.
Yeah.
Y'all both
Thanks
had to
for-
run at Bunyip and Son of a Gun. Y'all both ran from the fight at the same time. It just so happened that Izala had to do it. I think one other time
Oh
as well.
yeah,
Oh.
that son of a gun fight is the worst it has ever gone. I tried to do the turn red strat to make up for the magic, but he just kept sleeping somebody every single time, and I don't know how to
Did-
do that. if somebody slept, I don't know if it's possible.
On
I'm
the
glad
last
you did
one,
that, Izala, because I'd never seen meteor shower and photon beam from Son of a Gun before. Wow, that was a great demonstration. And
Yeah, I
also,
haven't either.
he fatigued 2 of your characters with that thing.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I was completely screwed.
I don't know if you did you notice what happened on the third one? Like, why that frog prince did so like little?
Oh yeah,
I think.
because I tried to turn blue Glenn, and I got like messed up because I thought he was untargetable.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I ended up like reversing back, and like I don't even know what the game did with my inputs. Like I don't know what I was thinking, but like I knew
Yeah.
that I did it.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if that you were like we were wondering like when it was happening. I was like, oh, I wonder if he knows that the sun is like blue right now.
Yeah, I knew. I don't know why I thought I couldn't target Glenn with it. He wasn't dead. He was
No, it
just
happens.
slept.
Like,
So
I'd be tilted if Son of a Gun was trolling me that much. So I understand.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually got pretty, like, the fight went, I think, about as well as it probably could have given the stats that I had. The one that was bad was on my end, Bunyip, like you mentioned. I had to run. I wouldn't have needed to run. I messed up the fight because I was trying to set up for better run-ups there to avoid having to switch back and forth, and I miscounted the stamina, so I did one too many, and then I got a min roll. So I was not smart. He zero rolled, and then I didn't handle it very well, which was dumb. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I was 1 AP off of getting Inferno'd with Magnify up, so.
Ooh, that's scary.
But with Ice Blast, it's not that risky.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We were discussing how scary that would have really been if you'd had Aqua Ball instead of the Ice Blast. And we're like, oh.
Yeah, I think Lena was 13 or 14 there. I would have been very nervous. I'll put it that way. That actually happened on one of the other races, though, and I was fine. It did require an extra attack, so.
I was a little nervous in a couple of those fights, though, because since I got all of the, I mean, obviously you'd still take them, but since I got double rare drops, I was taking like a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
Like the Taurozoid fight went really, really awkwardly because I didn't genius. I don't know if that got called out, but I missed that. But the problem was that the damage was low, but I was like, well, crap, I need to cure Serge because he had like 100 health left and he took 115 from the first attack. So if he had gotten attacked again, he has the revive, so that would have been a required run. So it was just like, that's the one downside of getting really, really lucky drops, which we're like super pumped about, but then it's like the whole fort, you're just sitting there like, please don't attack me, please don't attack me, please
Yeah.
don't attack me.
Right.
It's nice to get one of them. Getting two, it gets kind of risky.
Yeah, and I think I'd still rather have them than not, but
Oh yeah.
it definitely, there were moments where I was like, oh no, this could be bad. Also, so it sounds like we both risked, so I actually healed at the beginning of the game because I was like, the one thing I could never live down would be dying to like a beach bum using make waves in the first 10 minutes. I would never live that down.
That's never happened to anyone.
PH would turn off his console and stream.
Yeah.
I would just click. I would just like look away from the camera and just shut it off. Like slowly lower the screen.
Sorry guys, thunderstorm.
Exactly.
Yeah, but ultimately it was a really good race. Really good showing from both of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dude, Izala, thank you so much. So I'm assuming that you guys talked about it, but Izala jumped in to kind of handle a little bit of a late scheduling change. So it can be hard to run even in the best scenario, but when you're not really planning on it and then doing a race, that's really tricky. So thank you so much, dude. Really appreciate it. And then of course, obviously, corporate Doc, Handy, and then Dime. You guys are all the best. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all as well.
Thanks to you, everybody.
Agreed.
All right, thank you, everyone. This will wrap it up. We'll be back next weekend at August 28th at 4 p.m. Sorry, I got lost in my notes. For AG Dietz versus Carbon Drank. Thank you to the runners and the commentary. Again, always a pleasure. Always fun to watch and listen. The banter back and forth and all the mechanics and things like that. We'll throw the raid to Rango Fett. He's going to be doing... he's in the middle of a Lynx 2 run. I believe it's his first run. So everyone, thanks for coming out. Hopefully you have a good week, and we'll see you next weekend.